back in action here at home. They've played their best football over the last month, but the architect of that turnaround in the 2021 season is out today. More on that in a little bit. They're playing the NC State Wolfpack, who are trying to keep alive their dreams of an ACC title. It would be their first in Raleigh since 1979. As we look at the ACC Atlantic standings now, Wake Forest lost earlier in the day to North Carolina, but that was a non-conference game. So the Demon Deacons are still unbeaten. NC State, with that one loss in conference, got to win today to make that game next week between NC State and Wake Forest mean a whole lot more. Hi everybody, Chris Cotter alongside Mark Kurtzik. All right, we got NC State. They've had so much success under Dave Dorn. 7th bowl eligible season in his 9 years there, and they're coming off an 8-win year. Yet in the offseason, all we're talking about is Miami and North Carolina. They got a chip on their shoulder?
Yeah, they do. Dave Dorn, we talked to him this week, he said, as a program, we feel disrespected, and quite honestly, it's part of our fault. Like, we didn't give them the amount of respect that they deserve. They returned so many players, especially offense, and they've been using it, lighting those players, both backups and starters, due to injuries.
So what's really been the secret sauce for Dave Dorn in terms of having the sustained success that he's had at Raleigh?
Well, he's understood what their team needs to win. And first of all, they're not turning the ball over. You see their FBS rank with only 6 turnovers, and then they get the ball in the end zone when they get down close. You talk about defense. Rush defense has been fantastic. They've always had a good rush defense, but a couple years ago they brought in Tony Gibson, went from the 4-down look to the 3-3-5 because they felt like that 3-3-5 defense could give them the best shot versus the RPO game, and that's something that Florida State is very good at, so they're going to have to rely on that defense today.
It has been a wild year for a lot of teams in college football. Florida State certainly, and it has been a difficult week for them as well. For more on that, let's bring in Jalen Johnson, who's down on the field. Jalen?
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, I talked to Coach Navarro earlier, and Jordan Travis is going to be out, like I mentioned earlier. Mackenzie Milton is going to get the start today. Now, Jordan Travis is the only Seminole that's going to be out for this game due to the flu, but they did have about 20 to 25 guys miss at least one day of practice this week. So it's not only ravaged the football team. Baseball had to cancel a game earlier this week, so it's going to be Mackenzie Milton at the head of this offense today, guys.
Thanks, Jalen. You see what Jordan Travis brings to the table, and he really has been the spark behind this turnaround in October for Florida State, Mark. But then you think about Mackenzie Milton, and if you have a backup, if you have to go to the backup, this guy with what he's done in his career isn't a bad option.
No, not at all. And, Mackenzie Milton, when he was at UCF, I mean, you talk about finished 6th in the Heisman voting his last year there, and then before that he was 8th in Heisman voting. I mean, he's done it all, and he was 27-6 as a starter for UCF, over 9,000 yards passing. So he has seen everything, and this is going to be a very multiple in terms of formation and blitz package from this NC State defense. So they got a guy at the helm that they can guide this offense. He can get things going for Florida State.
A rather chilly and blustery day here in Tallahassee. NC State won the toss. They defer. Toe meets leather, and we're underway inside Doak Campbell. That's Trayshawn Ward, who's going to bring it out of his own end zone. Just gets it almost to the 20-yard line, is brought down, and that's exactly where they'll mark it down at the 20. And we'll get a chance to see Mackenzie Milton in this Florida State offense.
Yeah, and as Mackenzie Milton takes this field, we talked with Kenny Dillingham, and just what are some of the things that you really want to see early in this game from Mackenzie Milton? And really he said, just look, Mackenzie, trust your eyes. Trust what you see out there. Don't try to predetermine things or highlight a wide receiver before the snap that you want to go to. Let things come to you. Take what the defense gives you. And we'll see how he starts off this game.
He's got Jayshawn Corbin averaging 7.5 yards a carry in the backfield with him. He is a big play artist. Fake to Corbin and quickly tries to get it out to his receiver, Malik McClain, the true freshman, just misfiring.
Yeah, snap the ball out there. See the arm strength. A little too far behind him, but you talk about Corbin. Corbin is, he's been fantastic. He's a leader in that offensive backfield, 3rd in the country. You mentioned that 5.2 yards per carry. Once he starts, he can go.
That's Ja'Kai Douglas in motion. They'll hand it to him, and he gets brought down in the backfield. Daniel Joseph, along with Drake Thomas on the stop.
Yeah, Drake Thomas, you talk about a linebacker, a football player, a guy that he's playing that Mike position, because of Isaiah Moore's injury, and then you think about Peyton Wilson in the Mississippi State game, he was injured. So it's been Drake Thomas's defense, and he has been outstanding. I will not stop talking about him in this game.
I know you love to see a good middle linebacker like that. 3rd down and 12. Now pressure on the outside. Goes underneath to McClain, but he's brought down immediately, and it'll force a punt. NC State comes in, and the safety Tanner Ingle making the stop. 3rd down and long.
And that's the other guy that really makes this defense go. It's Tanner Ingle, it's Drake Thomas. Tanner Ingle, he's 5'10", 180 pounds, and he plays like he's 6'2", 220. I mean, he will hit everything. But his speed, you saw that closing speed. He was 15 yards deep on the hash, made a tackle for a 3-yard gain. That was a fantastic play.
Alex Mastromano, the ambidextrous punter from Melbourne, and to kick it away. He'll use his right foot. And Thayer Thomas making the fair catch at his own 39, and we'll get a chance to see this NC State offense and Devin Leary come onto the field.
Yeah, Devin Leary. Again, some people might call him a game manager, but he's a very smart football player. And he comes into this game only having thrown 2 interceptions on the season to his 21 touchdowns. And this is a guy that, again, last year only played in 4 games. He broke his leg. He was just really trying to prove that he belonged here. And this year, he has a full understanding of Tim Beck's offense and is running it really well and commanding the motions and the adjustments towards the line of scrimmage. He's had a fantastic year.
Give to Bam Knight. He has room to run. Close to midfield. They'll count it off at about a 9-yard gain to start this one. And you think about this NC State rushing attack. Really the surprise for me over the last couple of years that they've not been able to consistently run the football game in and game out. Last year towards the bottom of the league in yards per game running the football. And again this year, especially lately, it's been tailing off.
Yeah, it's good to see that first run. First play of the game, get 9 yards on the ground. It's a good sign for this NC State run game.
Now Leary to throw. Cocks it, pulls it back in, and it was deflected right at midfield. And falls harmlessly, incomplete. DJ Lundy on the coverage from his linebacker spot.
Little hesitation out of Devin Leary on that play, but we talk about only 2 interceptions. You saw him cock back and he was ready to release it, and he lets his eyes see what's out there before he releases the football, and results in not turning the ball over. Now 3rd and 1.
Give the Knight. He's met right at the line of scrimmage and driven back. He may have enough for the first down. They may have to measure. Which I was thinking the other day, Mark, I can't even remember the last time I saw a measure for a first down. It's like they don't even do it anymore.
You're right.
And they're just giving him the first down.
Yeah, especially, I think they've gotten very good at making sure that the sticks are directly on the yard marker. And let's watch here if we see anything. Good job blocking by number 6, Trent Penix, on the seal block. And then, man, it's tough to run against this Florida State defensive line. Their other line is their strength of this team. That guy, number 11, Jermaine Johnson's been fantastic.
Right again, taking it outside. Tracked down by Kalen DeLoach. You'll see equal measure of Bam Knight and Ricky Person. He's a little bit of a bigger back for NC State, more of a fullback type, 6'1", 220, and so it's definite thunder and lightning. Different styles of running backs, and Mark, also different personalities. Knight, quiet, more reserved. Person, according to Tim Beck, the offensive coordinator, really never stops talking.
Got to watch for a shot here, maybe a play-action pass. Nope.
Still trying to establish that run. There's Florida State meeting Bam Knight right in the hole. It looked like a Keen Dent coming in from his safety spot, just filling that hole.
Keen Dent's had a really good last couple games. Last week versus Clemson, he had a career high in tackles with 9, and he plays kind of that weak side safety position. If, again, watch as this game goes on. If he keeps filling the runs like that, they're going to take a shot to Devin Carter on that right-hand side down the field at some point. And Devin Carter and Mecca Mezzi, they're going to play right and left. Devin Carter's always on the right, and Mecca Mezzi's always on the left. So defensively, you know where these guys are going to be.
3rd and 5, Leary to throw. has time, steps in, just overshoots his man. Sailed on him a little bit as he was trying to get it to Carter. And there is some wind here today, Mark. It's coming left to right on your screen, whipping around a little more inside the bowl. On top, it's really coming in hard and fast, but that may have an impact.
Yeah, it does. And you talk to some quarterbacks, and you always think throwing the ball into the wind is going to be the more difficult thing, but a lot of times when the wind's at your back, it'll just take that ball and have it sail. And so that's exactly what happened on that last play. The ball just sailed over top, and you got to be really careful when you're throwing the ball towards the middle of the field. Those overthrows will result in interceptions.
Trenton Gill is an outstanding punter, 2 outstanding punters in this game as he sends this one towards the goal line, and that wind may have had an impact on that kick. Touchback, and we'll see Florida State and Mackenzie Milton again when we come back. Still scoreless early in Tallahassee.
ACC Network Football is brought to you by new Coca-Cola Zero Sugar and Wendy's Hot and Crispy Fries. Try the best combo ever today.
So many good football teams for NC State over the years, but looking for that elusive ACC championship. Their first one since 1979. Of course, Dave Dorn, second longest tenure of any NC State coach. And that 79 team led by Bo Ryan, who tragically passed away in a plane crash right after winning that title. Milton, a little off target here. Snap was not good, and that affected the timing of that play. Just had to chuck it over Ontario Wilson's head.
Yeah, again, you're going to take a little bit of time to get settled in to really what you want to do offensively. Yeah, they got a game plan. They've had games where earlier in this year, Mackenzie Milton was the starter. All week in practice was the starter, so they have a package for him. That package obviously changes when the other quarterback, Jordan Travis, is in the game, but it's going to take a little time for that connection, the snap, to get settled down.
Snap again, a poor snap, and he does get the ball to Jordan Wilson, but it's going to bring up third down again.
It's been 2 times where this snap has been a little bit off target. You see Maurice Smith, he's their starting center. It's low, and I was down there. The wind, the wind shouldn't affect a snap as much. However, if the wind gets low to the ground, it could.
Florida State 3 and out in their first offensive possession. They need to convert here to avoid that fate once again. Pack bring 5. Bill does have time. Now the receiver was hit as the ball got there. Officials keeping their flags in their pocket.
Yeah, and I think Derek Pitts got there a little bit early.
Yeah.
That ball, I think this is a good pass to Ontario Wilson, but see, that bump is before the ball gets there. You got away with one on that. You definitely got away with one. And when we talked to Kenny Dillingham about Mackenzie Milton and his connection with these wide receivers, he really thought Ontario Wilson was his top target. He feels most comfortable throwing to Wilson on that last play. It was a good pass. Just can't catch the ball when you get hit.
Mastromano into the wind, knocking it down a bit. There, Thomas with the fair catch in almost the exact same spot he made the last one. NC State will take over again. Still scoreless here in Tallahassee. Johnson and Cotter back with you in Tallahassee. Let's look at who NC State has remaining on their schedule. Florida State today, and that's their FPI chance of winning. Now, Wake Forest took the L earlier today, but they're still unbeaten in conference play. That game against North Carolina was not a conference game, and this is going into today. So you got to think the chance here against North Carolina late in the year is going to go down a little bit, but they get that game at home.
Yeah, and a part of it too is you look at all those games, and all those games could go either way. And that's just basically the way the ACC has gone this entire season. There hasn't been a dominant performer. However, just when you look at the style of play for different teams, you feel pretty good about NC State's run defense versus Syracuse, and that you just always worry that North Carolina game, if Sam Howell's on fire, he's hard to stop.
Lever's got a receiver wide open downfield inside the 20. Cuts it back. That's Carter. He's going to score. Riley will take that back. C.J. Riley.
Well, there you go. Little play action. We knew with all the run plays on that first drive, we knew at some point they were going to take that shot. And quite honestly, I would not have picked C.J. Riley as the guy. But, he has that speed, he has that size, but usually it's a Mezzi or Carter really good job. Again, you're developing wide receivers on this NC State offense, and C.J. Riley was wide open on that boundary side. Good job finding him by Devin Leary.
Christopher Dunn, veteran kicker, in for the PAT for NC State. He nails it, 7-0, Wolfpack on top.
You see C.J. Riley in that bunch at the top of the screen. And this bunch, you just got to sort it out defensively. And just not a very good job with the corner-safety relationship. Safety stayed down. Corner expected inside deep help. Wasn't there. And watch, Devin Leary right now knows. He knows, he throws it. And this is a really well-thrown ball. You see the wind whipping around in those flags. And just like that, that's the type of explosive offense that NC State can have, because these wide receivers are so tuned in when they have those one-on-one matchups, and Devin Leary can find them.
Big guys on the outside too. Riley's 6'4", Carter 6'3", Amezi's 6'3".
We talked to Adam Fuller, the defensive coordinator for Florida State. He said it's like they built a Madden team. That's exactly what you want. You want the big 6'3", 6'4" wide receivers on the outside that can stretch you deep, and then the Thayer Thomas, the Porter Rooks in that slot who can really make people miss and create some offense. And again, this is a very well put together team and very fundamentally sound.
Touchback on the kickoff. You also talked to Dave Doran during the week, and he said, look, when I got to NC State, I had the shortest team in the ACC. So we went right about recruiting length.
Yeah, I mean, it's really crazy too, because we said, okay, so what did you look for? Like, you just have everyone stand on a scale and see how tall they were, and they looked at the combine format. What measurables do they do when they send players to the NFL combine? They measure their hand size, they measure their arm length, they measure their head size. And he said, look, especially for offensive linemen, we look for guys with 7 3/4 head size or bigger. I said, oh, that's pretty specific, but you got a big head, you can play O-line.
There's some hard hitting going on out there, and Engel is in the mix. Number 10 for NC State. Tony Gibson says, when this guy plays, it's like he's involved in 70 car wrecks every game.
Well, that's true. I mean, look at that. He started out by the corner position, and he understands exactly where he needs to fit. Phenomenal.
Fake to Corbin. Now Milton's going to throw. He's got time to go deep. Trying to get it out to Helton. Just couldn't connect.
Had Helton. Tanner Engel was covering the tight end crossing, and is a double coverage. Really good job by Jakeem Harris, number 6, of staying inside. But if that ball's a little bit deeper and out in front, then there's a possibility. But now on 3rd and 8, after all these different 3 and outs, you really need to find, okay, where are we going to get one-on-one matchups if NC State's bring pressure, which they're showing right now.
Milton just 2 for 6 for 5 yards on the day. Jordan Wilson in motion, the tight end to the top of your screen. He hits it coming back around. That's Portier. Those big wideouts, and he's going to be short of the first down, though. At this stage, you got to punt it away here from your own 34.
Yeah, you do. And again, it's not winning on 1st and 2nd down, especially when you have a quarterback that is not your starter. You need to make 3rd downs achievable. And, so if that's 3rd down and 6, that's a 1st down right there. Now, NC State, be careful now. Don't jump off sides. They got their defense still on the field just in case there's any fakes.
That was a good kick over there, Thomas's head. Touchdown inside the 10. They're going to mark it at the 8. Knowles pinned the pack deep. NC State's up 7-0.
Jordan Cornette here with your Dr. Pepper Fansville studio update. Miami, Georgia Tech, TVD. Tyler Van Dyke delivers to Keyshawn Smith. Miami holds on to beat Georgia Tech 33-30. Hey, Cotter, everyone in the studio loving Herzlich's sweater fit.
The turtleneck, the sweater turtleneck on Herzlich.
Yeah, chilly day.
He is the doctor of style. There's no question about that. Now it's Ricky Person getting the carry for NC State. He's stopped up at the line of scrimmage, no gain. Devin Leary, the sophomore. You know, the first couple of years, Mark, you think about he had COVID, he was injured. You had Bailey Hockman here last year. This is the first year it's really been his team, and he's certainly come to the fore.
Yeah, it is. And Tim Beck has been so happy with the way that he has handled this. And Tim Beck, you think about the quarterbacks he's coached, Sam Ehlinger, Joe Burrow, and he really thinks like next year in this system, it's going to be a point where Devin Leary has the full grasp of everything, make every check, do all the things that those other quarterbacks were able to do under Tim Beck. And right now, Devin Leary is about halfway there, right? We talked about last year, just trying to figure out the offense, prove that he's here. And now, I mean, you look at what Devin Leary does, and we saw that last throw to C.J. Riley downfield. He has been phenomenal on the deep ball. He loves throwing the deep ball. But to be able to do what he does without throwing interceptions, that's a real talent. And now on 3rd and 3, it'll be interesting if they can put the ball in his hands. Got this bunch here. And it looks like it could be man-to-man towards that left side. Loves going deep.
As time steps up in the pocket, receiver was well covered. And it's going to bring up fourth down. Porter Rooks was the intended receiver, but on the coverage that time was Kevin Knowles, the freshman.
Yeah, just kind of in and out of the hands of Porter Rooks. I think it came to Porter Rooks a little bit before he expected it to get there. Sometimes when you have these timing routes and the ball is thrown a little bit too soon, the receiver doesn't have time to get his hands up, but really good stop by Florida State's defense. And another good play by Akeem Dent.
So Florida State should get the ball in pretty good field position here. 5th punt of the day combined for these two teams. And this is a great kick.
Wow. That's a great
So
punt.
decent field position, but flipping the field was Trenton Gill. He comes into this game averaging over 45.5 a kick, and that one was 58 yards to flip the field. ACC college football is going to continue 7:30. Our ACC primetime matchup presented by Geico. Clemson taking on Louisville. Don't forget, games are also always live on the ESPN app. 7:30 tonight on the ACC network. This dude, we see this dude. This is the 3rd game you and I have done here in Doak Campbell. We see this dude every week.
And he brings that same energy every single week. Love it.
Sean Ward stopped playing. This North Carolina State defense is tough. Tariq Pitts again.
They're tough, right? But they also are so sound in their run fits. They completely understand, okay, there's a puller, I'm moving over a gap, I'm getting downhill when I need to. And great job on that one, Derek Pitts, the corner, he's just filling in his wide receiver blocked.
Now Corbin in the game. Gonna try reverse. This is a flea flicker.
Oh, he's
back
open.
to Milton.
Oh, he's open. Oh, not that guy.
And Milton, looked like he was just, the guy he was looking at wasn't open, and he just decided to throw it away.
Oh my gosh, yeah, and he had a guy. There was the safety was in a bind. Watch as this play develops. You see on the sideline, the first vertical route out pulls that corner in, and then the corner reacts down. It really, if you throw it early to that outside route, that one's open. If you hold the ball and throw it late deep, that was also open. That was a miss by Mackenzie Milton.
Knowles 0 for 3 so far today on 3rd down. Snap again low. Milton goes down to get it. Dangerous pass.
That's big.
And it's intercepted.
And Corey Durden, the big man, got a shot on Mackenzie Milton. And then you see on defense, just a great job intercepting the ball.
Cecil Powell.
Yeah, Cecil Powell. And you know, Cecil Powell, number 4, you know, he's in partly because Tyler Baker-Williams, their starting nickelback, is out, and Cyrus Fagan, who was the starter in the beginning of the year, who used to wear number 4, he is also out. So there's a new number 4, and what a way to, oh, that's it's Pierre Louis.
They're dropping all kinds of numbers on us.
They have different numbers, but that's Pierre Louis. Got a good shot of the back. Joshua Pierre Louis, freshman, out of Rivera Beach, Florida.
Now good field position for NC State. Knight. Fake tonight. Quickly dropped Devin Leary. Jalen Johnson on the field. What do you got?
Guys, Corey Durden actually transferred to NC State from Florida State, and I was here when he walked out onto this field earlier today, singing as loud as he possibly could. He wanted everybody to hear it, taking in the stadium, and he's extra juiced for this one today, guys.
Well, you talk about, a 3-3-5 defense. That nose tackle, he's taking on double teams every single time. And that last one, he got a little taste of the pass rush, got to the quarterback. Integral part of this defense.
Give the Knight a lot of room to run here. Bounces to the outside. Picks up the yardage he lost on the last play, plus a couple of more. Jamie Robinson coming up to make the stop, leading tackler for this Florida State defense. Bring up 3rd down and 7.
Yeah, Jamie Robinson, he doesn't get enough credit for what he does for this team either. Really good safety, especially in that run fit you saw. And now on 3rd down, this is 3rd down and long, the longest 3rd down that NC State's had to face, and you got to watch out for number 11. Where's Jermaine Johnson? You see him at the bottom of your screen. Leads the ACC in sacks.
Pressure. Leary steps up. It's his receiver over the middle. That's Riley, but he's going to be nowhere near the yardage to gain. Duke Cooper on the stop, the freshman from Lehigh Acres, Florida. Looks like Leary's going to stay on the field.
Yeah, this is go for it, 4-down territory. It's just too long for a field goal. No point in punting. See if you can catch the defense off guard, go quick. Or try to draw him off sides. Watch there, Thomas, number 5. You see him in the slot. It's him and Emezi to the quarterback's left. Yeah, they're going to take the delay and punt, possibly.
Inside of 5 seconds on the play clock. Noles hold their ground. The crowd really for the first time today getting into it.
Yeah, I like that decision by Dave Dorn. You get your offense out there. If the defense is slow to line up, you snap the ball and you go for it. If they're sound, then great. Take the delay, give a little bit more room for your punter. We already have seen Trenton Gill have a fantastic punt. See if you can pin him inside the 10. Chris, this has really been a field position battle so far. You saw good punting on both sides have really determined whether you get in scoring range or not.
Two of the better punters in the league and really in the country for that matter. And Mastromano and Gill, and they've been battling. Here's Gill now trying for the coffin corner. Just deadens it inside the 5. That is another beautiful kick. And Florida State, who's had all kinds of troubles just picking up first downs in this game, is going to have to start from the shadow, literally the shadow of their own goalpost.
Such a weapon. I love how he gets jacked up too. I love, punters know when they got a good punt, and they know when they have a bad punt. That was a good punt. He knew it. He came to the sideline. Everybody else just give him a little high five. He's jacked up.
We've seen bombs and placement from both of these punters.
And now too, again, you're Florida State. You got a quarterback in there. He's struggled so far in this game. Interesting to see if NC State brings any pressure first couple downs here.
Give to Corbin. There's just no room to run in the middle of this NC State defense.
They're good. They really are. I mean, Tony Gibson, he has talked a lot of this week to me about their 3-3-5 stack. A lot of teams try to run it, but they don't have the guys who play downhill. This team plays downhill. If you don't play downhill, he said, you will be chewed out on Sundays. So there's incentive for these guys to have those run stops.
Going to throw over the middle. It's caught. And that'll be a first down. First down of the day for the Noles. Andrew Parchment. That man that transferred in from Kansas making the catch.
And this is the other guy that Kenny Dillingham pointed out that needs to have a big game. It's Andrew Parchment. A little bit slow start to this season, but
Two catches in a row here.
Yeah, 2 catches in a row. And what Kenny Dillingham said, in order for us to win this game, we really need to have some of those slants and one-on-one matchups become touchdowns. Take a slant, break a tackle, and then get off to the races. And again, we've seen very good tackling by NC State's secondary so far.
Parchment is one of those guys when you ask coaches to describe his receiving style, he's just a burner. Just the pure speed, and that's what he needs to use to his advantage. Again, very minimal gain for Corbin. Devon Betty on the stop.
And that's Devon Betty. Again, he's another linebacker that's playing a lot. He's a freshman on this team. We talked about the injuries to Isaiah Moore, Peyton Wilson, and Devon Betty. He's playing a little bit of that will position for them. Weak side, it's either going to be him or Jalen Scott, number 2. Drake Thomas in the middle, then Levi Jones, number 31, a little bit longer pass rusher at that same position.
3rd down and 4. Wilson, the tight end, in motion. Milton steps up, he'll look to get it on his own, slides, and he's going to come up a little bit short, I think. The official on the far side gave him a pretty good spot as he comes in. I think that's going to be 4th down, though, for sure. It's about a half yard shy of the stick.
It's going to be 4th down, and it's so tempting for Mike Norvell right now to go for this one. But the way this game is going, it's been a defensive battle. His defense has played well, aside from that one long throw. So punt this one away. Let Mastromano try to, again, play the field position game. Pin there, Thomas back.
Final minute of this first quarter. Mastromano is kicking into the wind, although he had a great punt last time. A little more end over end, but good punt coverage means Thayer Thomas has to call the fair catch. NC State back with the football. Don't forget, field hockey in the ACC tomorrow. Noon, Virginia take it on North Carolina. Game is also live on the ESPN app. Dave Doran, his 9th season here at NC State. Earl Edwards is the longest tenured coach in NC State history at 17 years. Talking to Coach Doran earlier this week, he said, I'm not going to get to 17. I don't know, don't speak so quickly. This is fun, isn't it? Winning's fun. They win a lot. Leary up top again, has a receiver. Beautiful pass. Trent Penix was the receiver. He's down. I don't think that was Trent Penix. Maybe it was. Let's get another look at that. Yeah, Trent Penix.
Yeah, Trent Penix.
That right shoulder looks like he's holding.
Yeah, he plays that kind of H-back position, that H-move tight end. And Devin Leary doesn't get anywhere near enough credit for the quality of quarterback he is. That throw's hard to make. You have Kevin Knowles, the top defensive back for Florida State, covering a tight end H-back down the field, and you lay the ball in perfectly towards the sideline. Devin Leary, such a bright future ahead of him, only a redshirt sophomore. And when you think about, when you look at this team, the guys that could potentially come back both offensively and defensively for NC State next year. Again, we're not looking past this year because they got a shot this year as well. But Dave Doran, he's not retiring. He's not hanging up that whistle, Chris, anytime soon with the guys he has coming back. That's for sure. Look at that, the career record, first 5 starts, and that's when NC State fans, that's what they're thinking about. Maybe he doesn't get enough credit because he starts off his career 0-5. However, if you watch any of the games that they have played since then, he has been phenomenal. You see him guiding traffic. He understands. Look, it's a 2-deep look. Held there, Thomas.
Person. Guards have been tough to come by inside for NC State. Also, Jarvis Brownlee coming up from his corner spot. Got a Knowles shaking up on this play. Previously, you had Trent Penix, who was able to walk off under his own power, and that's Brownlee who made the tackle.
Brownlee, the top cornerback, too.
That's going to wrap it up for the first quarter. Wolfpack up 7-0 through 1. Time now for Food Lions Food for Thought. Strength on strength today, and so far NC State's winning this tug-of-war.
Yeah, you look at the rush offense for Florida State, over 200 yards a game. They've been fantastic on the ground, and part of that's due to Jordan Travis being an effective runner as well. And NC State defense, again, we've talked about them being phenomenal against the run all year. Today has been a phenomenal showing.
Person cuts it back, gets about 4 yards on second down. It'll bring up third down.
And NC State, we've talked about their run issues offensively. Just the fact they just haven't gotten those guys in terms of Ricky Person, Zonovan Knight going as much as maybe we saw a little bit last year. And today they've stuck with it. There have been games where they've gotten down and they've had to just resort to the passing game. This game they're sticking with it. Already 10 rushes for 30 yards in today's game. They want that average to obviously be a little bit higher. And now third down, man-to-man situation here.
Over the middle, inside the 15, inside the 10. That's Chris Tootle. And the tight end gets him in a first and goal situation. 16 yards on the pitch and catch.
Yeah, Tootle, again, a little bit more of that H-back. Trent Penix, we saw him earlier, but good job. A little fake block, and that little hesitation as a blocker signaled to the defender, look, I'm gonna rush now. And then he slipped right underneath. Really, two guys were open, him or Ricky Person down the sideline. And Devin Leary found him.
Leary on the draw. Picks up a couple. Mentioned 3 yards a carry for this offense in terms of running the football, Mark. They averaged 93 yards a game against Power 5 teams. That's basically ACC and Mississippi State earlier in the year. And only 3 yards a carry and just one score on the ground in those games.
Yeah, you know, that's a great point. There have been some games where they had 100-plus yards, but it's been held to 50, 60 yards at times, too.
Leary to the end zone over the head of his receiver, and a nice catch. Tootle goes up to bring it in, and the Pack extend their lead.
You talk about the wide, we mentioned a bunch of the wide receivers and the receiving threats, and two of the guys we didn't even mention, C.J. Riley and Christopher Tootle, so far have had the big touchdown receptions this game. You see Tootle on the right-hand side. Again, he's in that off position as a blocking threat and just really good move on Callan Deloach. They're going to look for that matchup all the time. Anytime you can get either Trenton Penix or Christopher Tootle matched up on a linebacker, that's where Devin Leary is going to go with the football. Good job putting it face mask or higher. Good job catching the football by Tootle.
Tootle's third touchdown catch of the year ends a 6-play, 67-yard drive. Looks like Norvell's got his work cut out for 14-0 Wolfpack. There's a scoring drive you see on the lower left. Big smile on Chris Tootle's face. Touchdown catches from Tootle and Riley for NC State. They've opened up a 14-0 lead in this game. Offense is starting to click, and the defense has been humming along since the opening kick.
Florida State's got to get something going.
Got to.
They got to have a sustained drive as well, because their defense is going to be exhausted if they continue with these 3 and outs.
Into the end zone touchback. All right, Mackenzie Milton having to start because of the illness to Jordan Travis. They've just been out of sync.
And whenever you have a backup quarterback in, you want to help him out. You see the 2 bad snaps, that doesn't help anything out, and then obviously that's on him. You can't make that throw, but there've been a lot of miscues, whether it's missed blocks or whether it's
missed open receivers,
bad snaps or missed open receivers. There've been a lot of things who have gone into this, but you see that like 4 punts, an interception, and only 1 first down, and this is a little bit more of that stagnant offense, and you see a little changeup. Who we got here? At quarterback, it's a Wildcat. Looks like Jayshon Corbin's taking the snap.
That's Corbin. He's not going to get anywhere either. Let's send it down to Jalen Johnson on the sideline.
after that last drive for Florida State, all of the offense got together, a majority of them, and said, stay patient, stay patient. It's going to take a little bit of time to get it flowing, but we just have to stay patient and stay together.
Yeah, stay patient, but need to get a yard on first down. That would be helpful.
Now Milton with the empty backfield. NC State brings just 3, and he's able to find his receiver. That's Trayshawn Ward out of the backfield, who's a heck of a receiver. And he makes a nice catch, but it'll bring up another 3rd down. Let's take another look at that. It looked like he may have dropped it, actually. Boy, pressure almost got there.
But again,
did drop it.
You got a quarterback in there. You got to catch that ball. I mean, that's a perfectly thrown ball, especially over the middle. And now again, empty formation. NC State has dropped back and just made Mackenzie Milton find the opening. Now they're bringing pressure.
Oh, dangerous pass, and it was tipped around and caught.
Shaheem Battle just went for that ball.
Keyshawn Helton ultimately brought it in, but it's going to be just shy of the yard to gain, so it'll bring up 4th down. How do you think about going for this one?
I don't know. I don't know. It might be a little bit too early in terms of where they are on the field, but good concentration by Helton. And man, again, okay, yes, you have 1 yard, you're down 14. Don't jump off sides if you're NC State, but you got to imagine they're going to bring another body in if they're going to try to run this ball. There they go. Now they're bringing their 2 tight ends close to the formation.
And they will go for it.
Oh, and he might have been stopped. Oh,
I think he got a good spot. I think he's going to get it.
yeah.
Devon Boykin came in, and this is a player that Dave Doran said he's been playing really well of late.
Yeah.
Added 20 pounds in the offseason. He made the stop, but I think it's going to be just enough. Yeah, it's 1st down.
And Mike Norvell saying, go, go, go fast. We don't want to give him enough time to check this one out in terms of the spot.
They get the snap off. And going downfield, that's Wilson open. He makes the catch at the 30.
There you go, Mackenzie Milton. All right, all you needed was that 1 first down, and great call. Again, Mike Norvell having the guts to go for it on 4th down, and then going quick to the line of scrimmage, caught NC State in the blitz, and we've talked about Tanner Engel. He has a tendency to possibly get beat deep on the play action because he is so aggressive. Mackenzie Milton Fountain and Jordan Wilson, he has really come along as a pass catcher in the past couple weeks, transferred from UCLA. Great job over the middle bringing that one in.
Corbin brought down in the backfield. Devon Petty with a nice job of penetration for the loss.
You see on the left side, Devon Petty just coming right off the corner. And good job. Really, Mackenzie Milton would be that other run threat that should hold Betty, but I don't think they feel very threatened with Mackenzie Milton on the ground. Up in the box, Kenny Gillingham's going to see that. Maybe they go back to it later and tell Mackenzie Milton to keep it.
Fake to Ward. Dangerous pass, trying to hit Parchment. Double coverage. Really no shot.
Again, Dillingham trying to go to that slant towards the weak side. It's very difficult for this defense to hit these slant routes, because even though it looks like man, their safeties are playing so close to the line of scrimmage. That time, Boykin was able to break that one up. Now again, after that big play, the loss of yardage on 1st down is bringing up 3rd and 14.
FSU's 0 for 6 on 3rd down this afternoon. Pack bring just 4, and then get to Milton anyways.
Levi Jones, the Sam linebacker and the rush specialist from that linebacker position. You see him in the middle and just works his way around the outside, is able to put a move on Robert Scott and just come around the corner. And that's aided with that pressure up the middle. You see Durden up the middle as well. And then Terrell Dawkins came in at the very end. And after that big play and the loss of yardage on 1st down and that huge sack, now they're forced to punt the ball again.
Thayer Thomas deep for NC State. Mastromano will try and jam deep, and we got to delay a game. It'll
delay a game. Offense. 5-yard penalty. 4th down.
move Florida State back 5 yards. That won't really matter to Mastromano.
Yeah, there's certain times you take intentional delay games. I'm not sure if that one was intentional. They were just getting everybody out on the field, but either way, they have the punt rush team in for NC State. No defense on the field, not afraid of threat.
Thomas lets this one go over his head. Another beautiful kick. Look at that, just dying right there at the 5. They'll mark it down at the 6. NC State deep in their own territory offensively when we come back. State up 14-0 here in the second quarter. When you look at the preseason media poll, Mark, NC State, a lot of people in the media thought they would follow up Clemson in terms of the Atlantic Division. Nobody really thought Wake Forest would get off to the start they have. Clemson struggled a little bit, but NC State's right there taking on Wake Forest in Winston-Salem next week.
And you see the remaining ACC schedules, and that note on the bottom, Wake Forest lost to North Carolina today, but that was one of those rare ACC versus ACC non-conference games. You only play 8 conference games in a season. That was not one of them. And you look at NC State the rest of the way. If they pull this one out, they have a huge matchup versus Wake Forest next week, and the winner of that could determine their own future in terms of making their way into that ACC championship game.
False start. Offense, number 19. Penalty is half the distance to the goal line. Still 1st down.
Cardinals send C.J. Riley on the outside, getting off to an early start. Half the distance will be about 2.5, 3 yards.
And when you think about like the preseason polls, really, a lot of people don't even pay attention to the Atlantic side because they just think Clemson's always going to win it. And then the coastal chaos is the one where like, oh man, who's going to be there? Obviously this year has been a little bit different. And NC State, they've kind of lived up to those expectations, and they're right there in the mix. Ooh, there's an interesting flop there. That's a long way down for that big man. I think that was Anthony Carter, number 75.
That might be Icky.
That's Icky Ekwonu. Look at that. Whoa! We haven't talked enough about Icky Ekwonu today. Probably one of the best offensive linemen in the entire country. He's a violent football player. He kind of projects to be a guard in the NFL, playing left tackle here.
Mauler. Leary to throw.
Ooh.
In the coverage, his receiver takes a big hit, but Rooks was able to hang on, and they'll move the chains.
And that's a difference, right, between these two teams we've seen. You've seen the same pass from Mackenzie Milton to his wide receivers. The wide receivers have just not been able to hold on to the football. And Devin Leary fired that one in there. Really good job catching the football and holding it on, and that determines, okay, that's a 1st down. Rather than now on 3rd down, you're going to have to go for a long. Remember, NC State really backed up starting this drive. A little more breathing room now.
Very little running room, maybe a yard or 2.
Big, 48, Jarrett Jackson. He was right in the middle of that pile. And yeah, one thing we haven't talked enough about this either is the defensive line for Florida State. They've been really, really good in not only in getting to the quarterback, but run stopping. That last play, Florida State is in 2 high safety look. They got basically 5 guys in the box, and they're able to stop the run for no gain because that D line is so good at chopping up the fronts and filling gaps.
Quick drop, Leary again finds his receiver Rooks. Those two have a nice little connection here today. Rooks, COVID freshman. So he played last year, but it doesn't count against his overall eligibility, so still technically a freshman.
Pretty good coverage by Jamie Robinson, just perfect ball placement by Devin Leary. And now on 3rd and 1, you got Bam Knight in the backfield in that pistol set. Some of the bigger guys up there in the box. You see Trenton Penix and Christian Tootle, both receiving threats, but here they're blocking.
Giving it to Knight. Knight just powers his way, and that's going to be enough to move the sticks.
Chris, you talked about the differences in these two running backs that NC State has, Bam Knight and Ricky Persons, and they both really can do a lot of the same things. They've tried to run a lot of outside zone with these guys. I think Bam Knight maybe a little bit better at that outside zone because he has a little bit more speed, but Ricky Persons, he's led the way in terms of the receiving. He gets out of the backfield, he catches some passes and makes guys miss. Really good combination, 1-2 punch.
Now he's out here, split at the bottom of your screen. Leary to throw underneath. Again, that's Rooks. Got a flag down on the play. Let's check that laundry. Jeff Heiser, our referee today.
It's like Ike Ekwonu is arguing his case.
He's been since that play.
After play was over, personal foul, unnecessary roughness, offense, number 79. The down counts, second down.
He didn't let it go, Mark.
No, he didn't. Well, one of the things that Dave Doran loves is Ike Ekwonu is, he said, the most violent finisher he's ever seen in his career. Well, let's see how he finishes this play. Yeah, that's a violent way to finish the play. And nowhere near the guy. Pushed him in the back, and hey, don't get near number 79 if the whistle hasn't blown yet. That dude will knock you down.
So after the play, it results in a 2nd and 17 now for the Wolfpack. Leary to throw. Flushed out of the pocket, being chased. Hits his receiver at the sideline there. C.J. Riley on the catch.
Excellent throw. Excellent throw on the move. This offensive line, again, we talked about the pass rush ability by Florida State. Good job of giving enough time and then finding the open lane. Sometimes you don't get the open lane just sitting in the pocket, and you get a wide receiver, tight coverage on the outside. Good job of moving his feet and not being flustered and getting the ball out there. Now 3rd and 4. Got the rush package in for Florida State. Callan DeLoach is trying to direct traffic, and it looks like Florida State is very caught off guard.
Yeah, they're going to call a timeout here to talk things over.
Charge timeout. Florida State.
NC State up 14-0 here, 4:31 left in the first half. Tallahassee, Coke Zero. Coke Zero Sugar and Wendy's. They're proud supporters of college football. Best combo ever.
Best combo ever.
NC State's got a pretty good combo at running back and Knight and Person, and they've been doing some pretty good work today and getting some sustained drives, but they got to do something here. 3rd down and 4. Now another whistle and a flag.
Some early movement by NC State on the offensive line.
False start, offense, number 50. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Center Grant Gibson. So it suddenly makes 3rd and manageable to the 3rd and a little less manageable. 3rd and 9.
See this center right there? Ooh,
That's a tick, if anything.
Someone saw it. Left side of the screen, you got Jermaine Johnson, Keir Thomas together. Usually that means a stunt game. There it goes.
Leary now flushed. Avoids it. Nice completion. That'll move the sticks. It's Rooks again. How about Leary's feet?
Yeah, they're working that right side. And you see Spees, really good job, the right tackle of picking up that pressure. And I mean, this has been a heck of a game for Porter Rooks. He's had some big catches on 3rd down this game.
Fresh set of downs now for Leary. Knight. Not much room there. Jalen Johnson on the field. What do you got, Jalen?
When we talked to Devin Leary earlier this week, I asked him, what's the key to your success on offense? And he said, really the defense. Going against those guys every day in practice, we have no chance but to get better. So he gave a lot of praise to his defense for making them as efficient offense as they are.
That's right there. That's efficiency. 10 for 13, 171 yards, 2 touchdowns. And the speed at which that NC State defense plays, that it forces Devin Leary to get the ball out on time.
And he does quickly here. Brooks. It's just that's a broken record right now.
It's a matchup that they like. I mean, Jamie Robinson, very, very good defensive back for Florida State, but if they can get Porter Rooks out there, a really quick slot wide receiver on a safety, a boundary safety, that's a matchup they're going to take. That quick out route has been open a lot. Look for Adam Fuller to start playing some 2 trap, get that corner to sit outside some.
Another 3rd down, 3rd and 5, an opportunity for this Nole defense to get off the field. Leary to throw. Knight, he's not going to get anywhere close to where he needs to get. In fact, he's going to lose a yard or 2.
Good job by Callan DeLoach, the middle linebacker. This was a man-to-man coverage by Florida State. Good job of finding his receiving threat out of the backfield and making a tackle in the open field. And again, this game so far has seemingly been dominated by NC State, but it's plays like that on 3rd down by Callan DeLoach that has just kept Florida State in it. They got a chance, and with 2 minutes left, they're going to get the ball back, and not much has been working for Florida State's offense. However, they got a shot, and you got to start getting the ball a little bit to Trayshawn Ward and Jayshawn Corbin out of the backfield, and it might open up a Malik McClain down the field.
Florida State calling timeout here to save some clock. We'll have more ACC Fall Championship action for you starting tomorrow with the Field Hockey Championship match at noon Eastern between Virginia and North Carolina. Men's soccer quarterfinals will follow that. And then on Wednesday, the men's soccer semis are at 5 and 7 Eastern. All right here on the ACC Network and on the ESPN app. One app, one tab, so you can watch anywhere. Keyshawn Helton back to return this kick. The punters have been stars today. Trenton Gill is looking to continue that trend. Standing at his own 29, and he's going to be punting into a little bit of a breeze here in Tallahassee, but he gets off a good kick. Helton's going to have to call fair catch at his own 15. So that's how far Florida State is going to have to go in 2:27. We do have a flag down. Check in with Jeff Heiser here.
During the kick, holding, receiving team, number 83. 10-yard penalty from the end of the kick. 1st down.
It's on Jordan Young, so they're going to have to go even further if they want to put points on the board. We'll find out when we come back here. Final moments of this first half. Coming up at the half, State Farm halftime report. We got first half highlights of our game. The Tar Heels take down the Demon Deacs in another one of those basketball score games. That was crazy earlier today. And then Tyler Van Dyke, again, Miami got off to a slow start today, but they really picked it up in the second half in their game against Georgia Tech. Yeah,
TVD shined just like the Glitter Gang there in that Florida State sideline.
Those guys know how to work it. Some variation of the Glitter Gang has been here for decades.
Oh, I know.
Do they bequeath the glitter? How do they determine who's going to carry the mantle on?
That'll be the next Jalen Johnson report.
Yeah, figure that one out. FSU's got to figure something out on offense. Corbin finally getting loose at least a little bit. He had 0 yards on the day before that carry running the football. Just hadn't been able to get anything going.
Yeah, and he came in 3rd in the ACC in terms of yards rushing in a game and yards per carry. He's 3rd in the country. Just nothing so far.
Maybe a little shy of that first down, so this is a big 3rd down.
Yeah, the big 3rd down, and again, in this 3rd down, you got to just get the 3rd down. I think from then on, you be aggressive because you don't have any timeouts left, and you want to try to get down the field, at least scoring range, and that's not going to do it.
Oh, Milton's going to have to fight his way to get there, and he may have done it. I think he might come up just a little bit short. Devon Betty was there to make the stop, stayed home, and met Mackenzie Milton, but that was just all on desire just to even make it close. But I think that's going to be short. It's going to force a punt. And NC State's now calling their timeouts to get the football back.
Yeah, and you see off the edge, Betty just collapses down, and Drake Thomas is the quarterback guy, and you see where that ball comes down. Looks like a yard short of that first down line, and something to watch. Mackenzie Milton was pulling on his finger a little bit after that run. Let's hope it's nothing, but again, you don't want to come off losing your chin strap, shaking your head as a quarterback. And now, just like that, again, you talk about in basketball, you want to score fast at certain times because you know because of the shot clock, you'll get another shot before the end of the game. Same thing for NC State on that last one. When they punted, again, a quick stop. Now they get the ball back. And NC State, in 5 of their 8 games so far this year, they've scored right before half. Let's see where this knee down ball to me looks like it's at, gosh, what yard line is that? The 12, no, the 17 yard line?
Yep, just before the 17. That's where the ball lands, but his knee is down there.
It's gonna be close. Looks like the sticks are right in between the 17 and 18 yard lines.
They're beyond that 17. See, yeah, it looks about right where he fell, so right at the 17. He tries to extend it a little bit.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands. 4th down.
Yeah, I think they got that spot right there on the 17. Not going to be enough. So now Dave Doran's thinking we can get the ball back in pretty good field position here if Thomas can get us a little bit of a return. There's Thayer Thomas.
Yeah, and Thayer Thomas, he's a dangerous return man. We haven't seen a lot from him in the receiving end today, but boy, I mean, if he gets some open field, he can go.
Knowles and Mastromano need to get this punt up into the stratosphere. Thomas calls for a fair catch at his own 40. That's where the Pack will take over. 1:27 left to go and a chance to put some more points on the board.
You see that right there, scored with less than 1 minute left to go in 5 games in the first half, and really good shot here. 2 timeouts left. You want to try to save those timeouts for maybe a needed 3rd down where you can get the ball over the middle of the field. And this 2-by-2 look so far for NC State has proven very effective. Some of those quick out routes, wouldn't be surprised to see a wheel route at some point from one of those slot guys running down the sideline.
Leary to throw, now pressure. Just threw this one away. Had Jermaine Johnson breathing down his neck, and we haven't mentioned number 11 very often today for Florida State, and that's not a good thing for Nole fans.
No, it's not, and you really could mention Jermaine Johnson on every play, but you watch him, he is fantastic. He is a semifinalist for the Bednarik Award, as well as the top defensive player in the country, the Lombardi Trophy. He's been dominant. Transferred in from Georgia, found a home here, and he's been really, really good.
Delay to Person. He's not going to get much. Give him a couple of yards, and he'll bring up 3rd down for the Pack.
Again, Jermaine Johnson. We talked with Tim Beck, and how do you attack Jermaine Johnson? Do you run directly at him? Do you run away from him? He said you got to do a little bit of both. That time, Jermaine Johnson was in a full pass rush. He read the run play. He redirected, came back, made a tackle. He is going to make some NFL coach very happy next year. And 3rd down. Too high safety look for Florida State.
Leary to throw. He's got Person if he wants him over the middle here. Instead he opts to go for Tootle. Gives him about 6 yards, but that'll bring up 4th down. How about both these teams kind of doing the dance here? NC State not wanting to go too quickly in case they didn't pick up this 1st down. They just want that clock to run, and that's exactly what's happening now inside 20 seconds.
Yeah, and Florida State's letting it run. And, I don't know if I would do that, because if the clock runs down to a certain point, you can just throw a Hail Mary type deal into the end zone if you're NC State, if you want to. Yeah, now NC State will take a timeout. I think it looked like that. I thought they called a timeout.
I did too. The officials are saying so right now.
Charge timeout. North Carolina State. 30 seconds. Please reset the game clock to 3 seconds. seconds.
And this is the problem. If Florida State takes the timeout with 12 seconds left, then NC State is forced to punt, because if you don't get it, then you give a short field to Florida State. But because Florida State was just assuming that NC State would run the clock out, now it gives a chance for just a shot to the end zone, and the chances of returning an interception 105 yards is very slow.
Although this is going to have to be into the wind. This is going to have to be an unbelievable pass from Leary just to get it to the end zone.
Yeah, and maybe it's a catch and run type situation. But you see Thayer Thomas on the left side, to the quarterback's left, bottom of your screen. He's probably going to work over to that 3 receiver side, as Florida State has 3 guys with their heels in the end zone.
Leary hurls it into the end zone. Picked off. Now let's see what the Noles can do. They need to get blocks.
Oh boy.
Robinson, well, he got a nice return out of it. That'll be a stat stuffer for him, and at least it gave the crowd something to get excited about here at the end of the first half.
A good tackle by Ike Ekwonu, offensive lineman.
All zeros on the clock, and a 0 next to Florida State as they go to the half here, being shut out by this NC State defense, and the Pack doing enough offensively to forge a 14-point lead. It's Coach Norvell trying to fire up his troops to find something that'll work offensively in the second half, because they have been completely stymied. 78 yards of total offense in the first half for the Florida State Seminoles, operating without Jordan Travis. Today, their starting quarterback, who is ill. Jalen Johnson is down on the field.
Coach, you talked about your QB's efficiency and how much you like him. What are you seeing from him today so far?
My quarterback?
Yes.
Yeah, he's done some good things, you know. I mean, we just haven't gotten enough points on the board right now. Devin's done a nice job. We broke the interception streak there on a Hail Mary, so we can get that monkey off his back. But defense is playing really well, and we just need to get some more points.
You told me earlier this week that defense plays like they're mad at the world. Are you still seeing that today from them?
We've got a lot to prove. You know, we're down another player, so Tyler Baker-Williams being out now, it's 5 starters, and we'll have him back, thankfully, but, you know, we don't have him today. Yeah, they're playing with a lot of edge. They got a big chip on their shoulder, and I love that.
All right, thank you, Coach.
He's right. Devin Leary, just his first interception in the last six games for the NC State quarterback, but they had the lead at the half. State Farm halftime report after these messages. 0-0 NC State with the lead over Florida State. Along with Mark Hertzlick, I'm Chris Cotter, and this really was the case of, you talk about a guy like Leary, the NC State quarterback, really showing up in a league full of great quarterbacks, showing what he's made of in the first half of our game.
Yeah, great poise in the pocket. Again, we talk about the pass rush that Florida State has not affected Devin Leary at all. And we talked about he likes to throw the deep ball. This one, what a fantastic throw right into the breadbasket of his big wide receiver, C.J. Riley. And then watch here, look how he avoids the pass rush and steps up, finds Porter Rooks for a first down, and then manipulating the defense. Finds the man-to-man coverage with the linebacker, finds Tootle in the back of the end zone, and Devin Leary, you know, he is probably the most underrated quarterback in the ACC. He has been fantastic. You look at the comparison, just, you know, really tough start of this day for Mackenzie Milton. Aside from that one deep ball he connected on, it's really been nothing going, and Devin Leary has connected on seemingly every time he's thrown the ball, connected on 13 of 18. The one incompletion was also a kick. Now onside kick, surprise onside kick. And Florida State needed a spark, and how about that? Going with the surprise onside right off the bat.
Parker Grodhouse, the kicker, kicks it to himself and does a beautiful job of letting the ball go 10 yards, Mark, before falling on it.
It completely caught NC State off guard. What? As that front line starts to bail, Grodhouse picks it up after 14 yards. And just a lack of recognition and too deep in the alignment. That's something you see on film. And that's, I mean, just a great gutsy call by Mike Norvell. Great job.
Now let's see if Florida State can capitalize. Coming into this game, averaging over 200 yards a game rushing. They had -1 yard rushing in that first half. Just cannot sustain anything offensively. Milton will look to throw. Getting it to his back, Corbin out of the backfield. That's a first down.
All right, and they're going to keep a fast pace here. They want to keep their momentum going. One tight end on the field. Cam McDonald receiving threat.
Milton will look to throw downfield. Oh, huge hit, but holding on to make the catch was Keyshawn Helton. That's going to fire up this Florida State bench.
Great throw by Milton. And you saw the lick that he took, but they're...
Catch. That play is under further review.
Yeah, they're going to check for targeting.
Potential targeting.
Florida State wanted to keep going quickly, all the momentum after 2 big plays, but they're going to check this out for targeting. That was a massive hit. Let's take a look at that one again, because Helton comes in at 5'9", 175, soaking wet, Mark, and he held on.
And see that delivered, and that's going to be Devin Boykin, as you mentioned, coming across and clearly leads with his shoulder. And you know, I understand why they're looking at it, but that was in the shoulder. I don't think that was directly to the head. Again, it's a defenseless receiver, but you see the contact made in the receiver's shoulder, and the way Helton popped back up too. You know, no issues in terms of him being dizzy or anything. And I think that's a good hit. I think it's a good no call initially.
After further review, there is no foul for targeting. First down, Florida State.
Good job by our replay official, Mike Shepard, looking at that one and quickly coming up with the determination. No foul on the play. So Florida State, for the first time all day, really with some momentum offensively and in prime scoring position here.
Yeah, and you know, if that becomes a targeting, then it's a beneficial thing for Norvell. But he wanted to keep going. He wanted to keep that pace up. Now it gives NC State a little chance to regroup defensively.
Milton looking to throw to the end zone. To Parchment at the corner. It just couldn't come under it. Covered well by Derek Pitts.
Yeah, Mackenzie Milton missed him. A little bit too far deep in the end zone. You want to aim for that back pylon. And you know, if not for that bump by Derek Pitts, maybe Parchment was there. But either way, now second down.
Collision almost between those two. Second down and 10. Just battling for yards is Ward. Keeping his feet long enough to get about 5. Maybe 4. It'll be third down and 6. Third down is not a place where Florida State has enjoyed any success today at all.
No, and they're going to stay in this same formation they've had this entire drive. 3 by 1, 3 receivers to the quarterback's left. They work that one-on-one on that single receiver side to the top of your screen. NC State shows pressure, and now it looks like they're going to check out of that pressure. See Tony Gibson on the sideline checking out.
Backfield empty now. Ward's going to go off in the pattern. Finds him inside the 10, down to about the 7. That's close to a first down.
And Trayshawn Ward just set up right in front of the linebacker, Devin Betty.
First down.
First down. What a momentum-changing play that onside kick was.
Now the Noles need to convert that into points. First third down conversion all day for Florida State, and now it's first and goal. Corbin. That play was sniffed out beautifully. He was met at the line of scrimmage. And Devon Betty not letting him go anywhere.
I think Devon Betty, he's a better run-fitting linebacker than he is in coverage. Very smart player, freshman, 6'1", 225. Out of Thomas Aquinas High School in Florida, but I don't know if I may not just not run the ball. I know Florida State runs for 200+ yards a game, but it seemed like just almost waste of plays right now.
Milton will look to throw. He rolls it out to his tight end. It's incomplete, but we got flags. That was Preston Daniel looking to make his first catch of the year. Couldn't hook up with Milton, but let's check the laundry. We've got 2 flags on both sides of the field, so we could have 2 separate calls here.
There are 2 fouls on the play. Illegal formation, offense, more than 4 players in the backfield. Holding, defense, number 10. Those penalties offset. Replay, second down.
All right, let's replay second down. And the wheels are turning inside Mike Norvell's head, huh? He and Kenny Dillingham trying to figure out something offensively when they cannot run the football. There's Kenny Dillingham.
And they've had those situations in the past versus Syracuse on this field a few weeks back. They felt like they couldn't run versus Syracuse defensive line. They threw a lot of screens out to the wide receivers on the perimeter, and that were their pseudo run plays.
Low snap again. Milton handles it, but the timing is off on this play. Now he's running for his life. Just throws to the corner of the end zone. Helton is there. Touchdown. Is that how they drew it up?
That was Keyshawn Helton making a play for his quarterback, Mackenzie Milton. Watch Milton. The low snap forces him to have a late read, and then his scramble lane is to the right-hand side, but there's no wide receivers over there. So it just throws it up there, and Keyshawn Helton comes from all the way on the left side of the screen, ran as fast as he could, just try to catch that, and that is making a play for your quarterback when it matters. 7 plays, 51 yards after the surprise onside kick. Absolutely changed the momentum of this game, and Mackenzie Milton capitalized with a touchdown.
We got to see that replay from that angle again, as Milton just threw that to a spot. There was nobody on the screen when he threw it to the corner, and Helton ran under it.
And he knew, look, I'm going to get tackled, so I got to put it up in the air. And that ball hung up there for about 2-3 seconds. Allowed Helton to run under it, and man, what a way to start the second half for the Noles. Milton just throws it up there. Wow. NC State ball when we come back.
Florida State drive from Keyshawn Helton, his quarterback Mackenzie Milton saying, yeah, thanks for having my back, kid. What an unbelievable catch. We'll show you in a little bit, but this Florida State offense completely stymied in the first half, used an onside kick to start the second half for a little momentum, and they couldn't move the football at all in that first half. Mackenzie Milton 4 for 5 for 48 yards and the touchdown to get them on the board. And this is not going to be a good, after the Grotehouse with the great special teams play on the onside kick, kicks it out of bounds. Here's that touchdown, Mark.
Yeah, and watch this route. This route kind of breaks down. You get Ontario Wilson slipping, and then Kentron Portier on the outside not being open. But watch right now. Mackenzie Milton's back is to the receiver, and watch how far Keyshawn Helton travels. And this ball is laid up perfectly. You know who doesn't complete this for a touchdown? Every other backup quarterback in the entire country. But because Mackenzie Milton has so much experience, he understands, look, my guy's faster than your guy. If I put the ball out there, either he gets to it or no one gets to it. That shows the experience and the capability Mackenzie Milton has.
All right, let's see how NC State responds. Leary to throw quickly. That's there, Thomas, his first catch of the day. Give him about 3 yards. Jalen, you're down in the field. What'd you see?
Guys, I got to talk to Keyshawn earlier this week, and I was originally asking about his connection between him and Jordan Travis, but he said, my connection with all my QBs is so good because I'm the guy that if they want to get extra reps in, they call me. They want to get extra throws in, they call me. So I know that probably looked like a broken play, but I'm sure they've practiced that. I'm sure.
You run these circles, these half circles, run around for your life, and I'll be at the pylon. Person out of the backfield, that'll move the chains.
And Keyshawn Helton, you know, we've talked about him in previous games, but Keyshawn Helton, he's kind of the older guy in this wide receiver room, and The coaches want him to be successful, and you only do that when you have a guy who does everything right. He's the type of guy, he leads by example. You just heard, he picks up the phone and he goes out and catches from any quarterback who wants him to. And so when he makes plays like that, it's a guy you can point to on the field and say, look, his success comes from the preparation, and that showed right there on that last catch.
Person driving the pile for 4 yards.
And how about this plan, too, by Tim Beck, offensive coordinator for NC State? Okay, we understand there was a momentum shift. Let's start running the football. You want to take the air out of a crowd, sustain a drive downfield, get 4 yards on first down on the ground, and now they're right back at midfield.
Yeah, picked up a first down. A 2nd and 6. Here's Person again, just lowering his shoulder, rolling close to another 4-yard gain, maybe even 5. He'll bring up 3rd down and short. Jermaine Johnson there on the stop.
Big back, good back. 3rd down and 1. Ricky Person in the game. This is where NC State loves their RPO stuff. They got their 2 tight ends in. You got the option to run the ball if it's there. If not, you got a shot deep with some of these wide receivers and 12 personnel.
Leary's going to roll. That's Penix. To the 20, he breaks free and he'll score. What an answer from the Wolfpack.
And how about like having a guy like Trent Penix at that tight end H-back position? I mean, not many guys in that position can take a 3-yard pass and go the distance, and it was aided by some poor tackling by, Akeem Dent just came and missed, and good job of just continuing upfield.
Yeah, Dave Doran said Penix has really helped them a lot in their bootleg game over the last few games, and you certainly saw it on that play. Scored the game-winning touchdown last weekend for NC State. Big touchdown here in the second half in Tallahassee.
Yeah, back-to-back weeks with a touchdown for Trent Penix. And it just seems like every time you have this NC State offense figured out, or the guy they're going to go to, they got another guy. If you take him away, you can throw someone else who can make a big play. Good job by Penix.
45 yards on the score. Penix finds pay dirt for the 2nd consecutive game, much to the delight of his offensive coordinator, Tim Beck. With his quarterback, he's going to have to go back out there and try and close this gap again as the Wolfpack answer with a touchdown of their own here in the 3rd quarter to get that lead back up to 14 points. Trent Penix, I never could figure that out. Guy runs for 45 yards for the score and immediately comes to the sideline and gets on the bike. I'd be looking for the oxygen tank. He's ready to go, though.
He's trying to keep his legs warm. He said, I got plenty more in me. That was a great play. Couple of great plays.
Well, Penix has had a good day today. Porter Rooks has had a good day today. And, you think about it, Devin Carter and Emeka Mezzi really haven't had to contribute that much. I think Thayer Thomas has 1 catch on the day. It's been some of these other catches in this NC State offense that have really been the primary targets for Devin Leary.
And let's see this play, right? You hit a steady dose of the run. Now you do the bootleg. Great job of finding the receiver for first down. And good block. Watch that block on the outside by Devin Carter. But Akeem Dent, he has a clear shot at this tackle. He just overruns it and allows Penix to go back inside. If you're that safety position, you have to come inside out and make a tackle. Unfortunate job by Akeem Dent, who's really played solid football as of late. Just that play did not look good, and that will not look good in the film room at all.
Milton in this offense, maybe a little confidence after that last touchdown. Can they parlay it into something else? Receiver and defensive back collide, and that's going to bring out the flag. Parchment was the receiver for Florida State. And Aiden White, the 2 of them collided downfield.
Pass interference, defense, number 3, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
And one of the ways Kenny Dillingham is trying to manipulate this offense right now is that he's lining up in 3-by-1 formations every time. You see the hold there on the outside, but what he's able to do when he goes 3-by-1, it forces NC State to show their hand a little bit. Either you're going to play too high safety, which they're showing right now, or you get into the 3 deep, and that 3 deep creates one-on-one matchups to that single receiver side, and if they go cover 2, you hit the check down.
And that's what they've done a couple of times here in the second half, haven't they? They've found the running back, whether it's Corbin or Ward, and they've made some good gains on those plays.
And Dillingham knows, he's studied this NC State defense on first and second down. They play a lot of zone, so it's really manipulating the zone. 3-by-1, now they're showing cover 3. They're going to have a man-to-man situation somewhere on the field, and they go to it.
Fake to Williams, now they get it out to McLean. And the freshman converts, another first down.
And right now, Kenny Dillingham did what we kind of talked about before. They've abandoned the run. They might hit a couple draws right now, but they're going to extend them out, see what the defense is doing. Now they're going back to that too high look and possibly an invert. Again, it's going to be man-to-man to Malik McLean on the bottom.
NC State showing pressure now. They come with it on the edge. McLean again on the receiving end, and Mackenzie Milton did a nice job of recognizing the pressure and finding his freshman receiver.
What a chess match this is right now. Kenny Dillingham up against Tony Gibson, D coordinator for NC State. Again, 3-by-1, single high. We got man, and see Tanner Engel, number 10, dropping back. Now he's showing more cover 2. This has been checked down.
Give to Corbin. Down to the 24. You heard the crowd roar here at Doak Campbell. They haven't had much to cheer about in terms of this run game today, but Corbin got free.
Okay, now what do? You're on the other hash. Bring the 3 wide receivers back over the other side and create the one-on-one matchup to the quarterback's right. And if I'm Tony Gibson, I'm bringing pressure at some point. I'm going to put man-to-man, make the free release out route harder.
Milton's going to keep it. Trying to get a block on the edge. Stays in bounds long enough to pick up that first down. Parchman on the outside gave him the block.
Just absolute no offense in the first half, and Kenny Dillingham, he's the master of halftime adjustments. Good block on the outside.
First down and 10 from the 12. To the end zone, tried to hit Parchman. A lot of hand checking there from both the offense and defense. Crowd here wanted a flag. They won't get it. Tariq Pitts on the coverage.
And Tony Gibson did. He brought pressure on this play from that weak side, and that pressure forced Mackenzie Milton to get the ball out. Ball's in the air. Contact cannot happen at that point. That should be pass interference. That should be a first down. Officials missed that play, and Parchman, he's upset. He knows it.
NC State gets a break on that one, second down.
Okay, too high look. This has been run or a check down route. See if they bring pressure. Bring corner blitz, looks like. They back out.
Trying to find Corbin. He's covered though. Milton will run. Rolls down at the 3. Calling that a slide would have been inaccurate. But it's good enough for first down. Or is it?
It's going to be close.
Yeah, it might be a little bit shy. Third down, they're going to mark it. Third down and less than a yard. We never measure anymore. We never measure.
And if I'm Kenny Dillingham, I'm staying with the same stuff. Right now he brings in 2 tight ends. Big Corbin in the backfield. And Mackenzie Milton under center.
Milton's going to keep it himself to try and get there. I don't think he got anywhere. Just been lucky to even get to the line of scrimmage. Didn't even get the push from Corbin.
Tanner Engel was in the backfield pulling Mackenzie Milton backwards. And you're right, 4th and 1. Watch Tanner Engel, number 10, just come off the edge, and that initial surge by the defensive line was great, but just, again, you would love to see that push you talked about.
So now it's 4th down and 1.
4th down and 1, same formation.
Milton was under center. Now he's split left. Direct snap to Corbin. Spins the goal line. Touchdown.
Sometimes in order to get fancy offensively, you go back to basics. That's what Kenny Dillingham did on this drive. He took what the defense gave him, and at the very end, we have a running back that can get the tough yards. Let's put the ball in his hands. Broke the tackle attempt by Tanner Engel, and Jashawn Corbin in the end zone narrows the lead that NC State had.
Fitzgerald makes it 21-14. First half, 7 drives for Florida State, 0 points. 14 points on their last 2 drives here in the second half. Yeah, offensive coordinator Kenny Dillingham and Coach Norvell pumped. And this Florida State offense had absolutely no success in the first half at all. Onside kick to start the second. Got a little momentum going. Halftime adjustments from Kenny Dillingham. 2 drives, 2 scores, and they're right back in this game. Now, last time they scored, NC State took their kickoff and marched down the field. Got a long touchdown pass from Leary to Penix. What did the Wolfpack do this time around to answer? This kick will be returned. Knight gets it down to about the 23. Let's send it down to the field, and Jalen Johnson.
I got to talk to Coach Norvell at halftime, and I asked him, what adjustments do you want to see McKenzie Milton make? And he said, well, he's been here before. We just need him to calm down, to settle in, and he knows he's going to get at his rhythm, and he has his offense rolling right now.
Yeah, he definitely got into a rhythm. And Mark, you and I were talking during the break about Dillingham and his adjustments, and I want to get to those in a little bit, because it's certainly, this is a totally different offense we're seeing from Florida State here in the second half. But the defense now has to step up. There's Coach Dillingham. Things are going a lot better for him than they were just about a half hour ago. But now it's time for this defense to step up. Leary looking to throw. Forced in the pocket. And he's just going to have to throw this one away. Big old number 91, Robert Cooper, in the backfield.
And defensively for Florida State, it's not as much of scheme adjustments, it's more execution. And you saw Robert Cooper get into the backfield, and that's just want to. It's will. It's getting to the quarterback. It's forcing him to throw the ball. It's making tackles. It's stopping guys, not letting them pick up yards after the catch. And that's what Florida State's going to have to focus on right now. And NC State would love to pick up 4 or 5 yards on second down to make third down easier.
Leary to throw. Underneath, that's a nice catch to a covered receiver. Mezzi making his first catch of the day.
And great coverage by Amari Gaynor, the linebacker, as well. It's a 1-yard gain on a pass route. And Amari Gaynor's right there. Good catch underneath, but Amari Gaynor on Emeka Emezi, that's a mismatch all day. Good job by Gaynor. Now it's 3rd down and 9. Florida State showing too high. And they got a lot of guys near the line of scrimmage. Watch that left side of the defensive line. Number 4 and number 11. They're going to game it up.
Leary underneath. That's a heck of a throw. That's perfect.
Look at it. Jarvis Brownlee thinks that he knocked the ball away, celebrating. But Emezi with the catch. Phenomenal. And now they're going, oh, Keir Thomas. Ooh, that's a vet move. That's give him some water. He's cramping. That's a cramp. That's interesting.
NC State wanted to come up and move quickly after that catch. See that catch again.
It is a completed catch. That play is under further review.
And Jarvis Brownlee, number 3, he says, okay, we got,
maybe he did get enough of it to knock it away from Emezi.
And you talk about a vet move by Keir Thomas. I'm not saying that he's faking this right now or anything, However, if there is an injury on a play, you need to stop it for the injury. Now, does that give the officials enough time? Again, every play is reviewed, right? But sometimes it takes a little bit of time for the booth to send it down to the officials saying, okay, we need to look at this again. And I hope Keir Thomas is all right? And that's first things first. But yeah, that call looks like it should be overturned, Chris.
Yeah, Mike Shepard, our replay official, is going to look at it. But from the angles we saw, you don't need to see very many angles to know that football went through the arms of Emeka Emezi. There's Keir Thomas right here. Just a little cramp.
Yeah, and let's hope. We say that.
You're right.
Assuming,
I shouldn't speculate.
No, and I did it too. But we say that. But the hope is that he is okay, and maybe
after further review, the ruling on the field is an incomplete pass. 4th down.
Brownlee celebrates. Defense celebrates. It brings up 4th down. Now the Florida State offense has a little confidence. The Florida State defense makes a stop, and this crowd here until Campbell is into it.
That war chant sounds nice right about now.
Keyshawn Elliott will be looking to make a play. Standing on his own 26. Trenton Gill. He's got the wind at his back. He's going to look to flip this field. He's done it a couple of times today already.
Low punt.
Can be returned by Helton. Good coverage, though, by the pack. Dropping him after a 3 or 4 yard gain. He'll start from his own 30. So Mackenzie Milton had all kinds of issues. Let's not forget, he started 3 games this year, but it's been a while, Mark. It's been a month since his last start. And even in mop-up duty, he deferred to some of the younger players to give them reps. Now, because of the illness to Jordan Travis, forced into action this week to start. Got off to a rough start, but it's been a lot better here in the second half.
Yeah, it's been a lot better in the second half. And we mentioned earlier Kenny Dillingham's adjustment, and he must have seen what this NC State defense was giving him in the first half. However, he held the adjustment till after halftime, so it didn't give NC State defensively enough time to go back into the locker room and make the adjustments to counteract that 3-by-1 formation that Kenny Dillingham has brought out again on this series. So, adjustments are huge, but timing of adjustments can be just as important. And Kenny Dillingham has, we've seen it time and time again. He's masterful with it. Now let's see if Tony Gibson can make some adjustments defensively to take it away. Let's see if they go to that single receiver side now, or if they're showing man, single high.
Jaheim Battle with a nice play in coverage on McClain on that first down pass. So 2nd down for Milton. Give to Corbin. He'll pick up about 4. Drake Thomas in on the stop. Tanner Engel as well. Tanner Engel just throws his body around. Defensive coordinator Tony Gibson said he thinks he's a linebacker.
180-pound linebacker.
Just throws his body around like crazy. Now a big 3rd down. Milton, pressure rolls from the edge. Milton stays on his feet, but he's in a lot of trouble. He's going to be sacked. Brought down by David Vann.
We saw Levi Jones in the first half with a similar loop play get to the quarterback. Levi Jones, the first one there. And then Corey Durden finished it off. You see Levi Jones lined up there. He's going to loop all the way around the formation. And really good job of just getting to the quarterback. And you see at the very end, taken down by, I think it's Devin Vann.
Yeah, Vann got him. Milton with a word with his head coach. But now it'll be Mastromanno's turn to try and flip the field as he punts from deep inside his own territory. Thomas with the fair catch. So after a little bit of offensive fireworks here to start this second half, we're back to a field position battle with NC State holding a 7-point lead. ACC college football continues tonight. Don't forget, that's a beautiful stadium right there, Cardinal Stadium in Louisville. Our ACC primetime matchup presented by Geico. Clemson in town to take on the Louisville Cardinals. All games not only on the ACC network, but also streaming live on the ESPN app, so check it out. That game coming up after ours. Ricky Person in the backfield. With Leary. Gives to Person. Trying to work that center of that Florida State defense. Nothing doing. Keir Thomas back in the game defensively for Florida State, in on the tackle.
Yeah. Glad to see that he's okay, Chris. I'm just glad to see that he's okay on the field.
And get some electrolytes in him.
Yep. This bunch set, this is where the bootleg where Penix scored last time, same bunch set. See if they try something similar.
Leary in the pocket, has time and has a receiver. That's Penix once again. Trent Penix and Porter Rooks have been fantastic in the passing game today for NC State.
Yeah, anytime defensively you see that, you call that a tight set, you know, whether it's a bunch or it's two by two, you say that offenses condense to expand. They either condense to expand outward or condense to expand inward with crossing routes. That time they expanded outward, and Penix did a good job of running away from the linebacker who was in coverage.
Person finds a little crease inside that defense. Nice pickup of about 8 yards on first down.
Good job by the offensive line on that play. They got the backside, and Malcolm Ray cut down, and Person's found the hole. Again, they're either gaining 8 yards on the run or 0.
Person again. He's going to lose yards. Amari Gaynor on the tackle. Person bounced off the pile. They'll give him forward progress to a loss of 2.
And anytime I have 2nd and 2, I love play action shots, and this is an RPO call. So that's Devin Leary's option to hand the ball off, or he could run the ball, or he could check to a pass. I like a pass in that situation because if you miss or get incomplete, now it's 3rd and 2. Instead, you get a big loss, and it comes up with 3rd and 7, makes it much more difficult, and now this Florida State pass rush once again becomes a factor. And again, Jermaine Johnson and Keir Thomas are lined up on the same side of the formation.
And we'll get a timeout here as Coach Doran wants to talk things over. They didn't give him much forward progress on that run at all. To your point, they moved them all the way back. It's 3rd and 7.
Yeah, anytime if you get stopped and then retreat and start back forward again, once you start forward, that becomes your new forward progress mark. So he did gain yards after that initial pushback, and they moved him all the way back.
Let's check out our running back spotlight, brought to you by Arby's. Interesting coming into this game because you have Florida State running like crazy, 200 yards in 6 games already this year, but NC State not so much. And when you think about it, Mark, as you look at the last 5 games, number of carries and the total yards have tailed off as well. You sort of get the feeling that they're saying, okay, it's not working. Let's just go away from it. Let's go with what we do best. And they've had 300-yard passing games in each of those last 2 games.
Yeah, and you look down the list, it started with Clemson. Clemson's probably the best rush defense in the conference, and they ran all over them. Just haven't been able to do it lately.
3rd and 7. Flag on the play, and they're going to blow this one dead.
Gonna back them up even more.
Prior to the snap, false start. Offense, number 53. 5-yard penalty. 3rd down.
Derek Easton, the guilty party, although you probably could have called it on 2 or 3 offensive linemen.
Yep.
Yeah, all of them, other than the center, Grant Gibson.
And again, you want the crowd to get into it. Have a false start offensively. Now you hear the crowd. The Seminole chop is going on. They're getting loud.
3rd and 12. pressure comes from just 4, and they're going to get Leary. That is Malcolm Ray for the sack, his second of the year. And it's a big one, moving NC State all the way back into their own territory.
Florida State has such a good pass rush from the 4 guys up front. They can drop everyone else back in coverage. Just drop back. This is a man-to-man coverage with safety help over top, and they had a couple guys open. However, the pass rush was so good. You see Keir Thomas in there as well. Devin Leary was just forced to hold the ball, and think about that. On the second down and short, they decided to run the ball. They lost yardage, and then they lost yardage again all the way back out of field goal range and forced a punt.
Gill with another good kick. Man, how many possessions, rhetorical question here, how many possessions has Florida State started from inside their own 15 today?
The punting game has been really phenomenal. I think there's one punt I remember just not being as good, but the punting game has been phenomenal. And when you can combine good defense with a good punting game, you have a real shot. And whichever team has done that in this game, whether it's first quarter is NC State, second quarter is NC State, third quarter it's been Florida State who has been able to make that combination. And now again, Kenny Dillingham sending his team out there in the exact same formation we have seen in the last 2 drives. Last drive they got away from the formula that was working a little bit, and now let's see if they go back to it.
Keep it on the ground. Corbett spinning his way for an additional yard or 2. They've been about 6 on first down.
Good read by Mackenzie Milton. NC State was trying to show single high, then drop back to cover 2. Mackenzie Milton understood that. He checked to the handoff. Now it's definitely single high.
Fake to Corbin, out to Parchment. Makes the catch. They'll move the chains. And the clock will wind down to end the third quarter. A fruitful third quarter for the Noles, much to the enjoyment of the home folks here at Doak Campbell. Down 14 at the break. They stormed out of the gate to find the end zone twice in that third quarter. We got a game, folks, as we head to the fourth here in Tallahassee. We're here at Doak Campbell. Florida State trying to play for those 6 wins to get bowl eligible. NC State trying to keep their dream alive for an ACC championship. It all hangs in the balance over the next 15 minutes. Milton has a receiver. That's going to be just shy of the first down. Keyshawn Helton catches it, gain of 9 on first down. That's another. They've been better on third down, Mark, and so much better on first down offensively here in the second half.
Yeah, this is a formulaic offense. Okay, you see Andrew Parchment to the bottom. He's their fastest wide receiver. Single high. And it looks like they're playing Tanner Ingle over there to try to take away that out route.
Milton, now he's being chased. Just throws this one away smartly.
Again, so when you look at the formula right now Kenny Dillingham has, you go 3 by 1, you put your fastest wide receiver, whether it's Malik McClain or Andrew Parchment, to that single receiver side. Okay, that's fine. Tony Gibson, the defensive coordinator, now has to decide, okay, do I want to give up the run or the pass? If he decides I'm going to stop the run, that makes it man-to-man. And because of the speed, you need to play off coverage versus that speedy wide receiver. Right now, if they're showing too high, that's a give read by the quarterback. Now they're walking down, you should throw it.
Off target on that pass, and a 9-yard gain on first down is going to lead to 4th and 1. And I know Mackenzie Milton is looking over here to the sideline, but
you got to punt. You got to punt this one.
No choice here deep in your own territory. That was just behind his receiver. He knows it too.
Yeah, and he made a bunch of good throws. And it was a good job by Tony Gibson on that last drive. He did a little bit different with his weak side safety to try to take away that quick out route that's been so effective. And yeah, it's the right call to punt. Your defense has been playing well. Now all of a sudden, this is a real field position game.
14th punt on the day between these two teams, and Thomas calls for the fair catch, makes it at his own 19. They'll mark it at the 20. So the Wolfpack here in the fourth quarter with the 7-point lead. Back on the field offensively. We've got ACC field hockey action. Championship tomorrow at noon. Virginia and North Carolina. Some hardware is going to be hoisted into the air, so check it out. Noon tomorrow on the ACC network, also live on that ESPN app.
Well, Devin Leary last week struggled through the first 3 quarters, but was phenomenal in the fourth quarter. 3 touchdowns last week in the fourth quarter. Let's see if he can have a similar fourth quarter here.
Give tonight, trying to get to the edge. Picks up 5 on first down. Gainer in on the tackle.
How about Ike Ekwonu leading the way? I mean, you know, you put your hand on Ike Ekwonu's back and have him pull around. You could pick up some running lanes.
Just get on my hip, young man. There's Icky. Knight this time, not much room to run. Amari Gainer again. He's having a good second half. We've called his name a bunch.
Amari Gainer, he used to be a defensive end. Really played that outside linebacker defensive end position for Florida State. They brought him inside. He has the size to play on the line, but the speed to cover. He made a great play earlier against Emezi on a 1-yard shallow cross route. Good play there. And now got the pass rush package back in for Florida State on 3rd and 4.
Leary to throw. That's Emezi. He'll move the chains. Mezi's been much more of a target here in the second half underneath. Not necessarily big yardage plays, but outstanding hands and moves the chains.
Yeah, and you know, he's the all-time reception leader at NC State. And you know, the entire first half, neither Emezi, Carter, nor Thayer Thomas caught a pass. And you got to imagine that you're trying to get one-on-one matchups for those guys right now. They got the big personnel in, so it's Emezi and Carter on the field.
Knight, great job sidestepping into the backfield, gets free. Near midfield before he's finally brought down right at midfield. So a nice run by Zonovan Knight. Jamie Robinson had to bring him down, and a few words exchanged after an 18-yard pickup.
Yeah, really good cut by Zonovan Knight. And good blocking. You see number 52, Timothy McKay, who's really the 6th offensive lineman in the game, made a fantastic block on the linebacker. And this running game is getting started for NC State.
Flag down, we may move back 5.
False start. Offense, number 53. 5-yard penalty. First down.
This type of game, you can't afford those things. I mean, you really can't. You're scoring at will, that's one thing. However, you know, regardless of how many yards you put up, you've only scored 21 points in this game.
Now it's 1st and 15. Leary under all kinds of pressure and is brought down by Keir Thomas.
So much is made of Jermaine Johnson on this defensive line, but Keir Thomas, transferred from South Carolina, he has been phenomenal. That's Ike Ekwonu that he's working on. The all-world left tackle who has not given up a sack all year. 560-something snaps where he hasn't given up a sack. Keir Thomas just made him pay with the first sack he's given up this season.
So 2nd down and 19. Leary with time, steps up, tries to hit Thayer Thomas downfield, but he's covered beautifully. That time by Jarquez McClellan. He's the transfer from Arkansas. So many, 13 transfers are getting playing time this year for FSU, and he's one of them.
I know. And on 3rd down, and you call it 2 sticks because you have to pass 2 sticks to get a first down.
Yeah, they got to get to the FSU 40.
This stadium is rocking. Play top down defensively and let the big boys up front eat. They only got 3 defensive linemen in this game. Probably going to play a cover 8 type. Oh, what a get off by Keir Thomas. That's a holding all day.
Got Leary anyways.
It'll be interesting to see if he timed that up perfectly or if they're going to call him for offsides.
The crowd here erupted. Now they're waiting.
Holding.
They did. He
Offense,
timed it up
number
perfectly.
50. That penalty's declined. 4th down.
Watch this. Keir Thomas right in the middle of your screen. Just walk around. On that clap, he does a great job. There is no chance to block him. That get off. Forget about it. And you see the hold there. All you can do is just hold. Try not to get your quarterback killed. Wow. Keir Thomas might be the player of the game for Florida State if they can pull this one out. I'm glad he's all right too, Chris.
Well, that's one of his plays. Great punt from Trenton Gill.
No way.
It's all about the ball in college football. Was it saved? It looks like it was.
Wow, that punt.
What a play on special teams as well. The officials are talking about it, and they're going to put it down inside the 5. What a punt. 59 yards on the punt. And it was deadened inside the 5. Trenton Gill, he's one of the MVPs of NC State in this game so far. Wolfpack by 7.
Great job downing this football. You see the coverage man, he has possession of the ball at the 1 yard line with the 2 feet down, makes a football move. That's why the ball is placed there, not where the ball landed after he threw it back out of the end zone.
So now Mackenzie Milton in this Florida State offense after that 65-yard punt off the toe of Trenton Gill and down at the 1 yard line is in all kinds of trouble, and it'll be 2nd down and 10.
Great job. I mean, yeah, man, this has been a back and forth game, and we've talked
That's
about field.
Anthony Smith, by the way, the wideout who made
yeah.
that recovery at the 1 yard line on punt coverage. Just trying to run and get some space, and they don't get much. It'll bring up 3rd down from their own 2 yard line.
Tony Gibson brought the corner pressure on that last play. Good job of fitting inside, making the tackle on Corbin, and at this point on 3rd down and long, they're lining up in an empty formation. You really got to make sure that you give Alex Mastromano, your punter, room to get the ball off.
Empty backfield here. NC State brings just 3. Milton steps up over the middle, complete. That's Parchment who makes the grab, and that is a huge conversion for the Noles.
Kenny Dillingham has been waiting for Andrew Parchment to make a play. His presence in this game has made plays, but none bigger than this off their own goal line. Beautiful throw by Mackenzie Milton.
Empty backfield again. Corbin split at the top of your screen. Milton looking to throw that way. That could be another 1st down. Corbin on the receiving end. They'll move the chains. Now Florida State will look to move quickly now that they're out of danger. Keeping Corbin split at the top. Will NC State bring pressure? They bring just 4. Milton forced out of the pocket though. Throws to his receiver and he has him. Did Helton come down with that one? They call it incomplete, but we do have a flag on the play. Helton shaking up a little bit too. You can see him limping on the sideline.
That flag was thrown late.
Holding. Defense. Number 4. 10-yard penalty. 1st down.
Ooh,
Joshua Pierre-Louis was guilty of holding.
Ever elusive number 4 on the depth chart. But you see that little grab on the shirt.
Ooh,
that's
wow.
a tic-tac call. I don't like that call.
Phantom.
I don't like that call one bit.
Goes Florida State's way, though.
Now they're back to the running back in the backfield. Too high safety.
Ward underneath. Don't have any success running the football today. Get it in the hands of your running backs out in space in the passing game. Again, empty backfield. Ward split at the top of your screen.
Matchup, Parchment versus Tanner Engel in the slot. Let's see if they send him deep.
Couldn't connect with Williamson. Defending on the play was Pitts.
I mean, how about the trust, right, in Mackenzie Milton? We talked about abandoning the run game. You can't abandon the run game with a backup quarterback 99% of the time. But Mackenzie Milton, he has made right decision after right decision in this game. And he's throwing the ball a ton. Too high looks. Something should be open over the middle of the field.
Pack bringing just 3, though, dropping everybody else in coverage. That's a dangerous throw. His receiver was well covered. Drake Thomas was manning the middle of the field. I haven't really said Drake Thomas's name a whole lot this game, considering how dominant he's been at that middle linebacker spot the last few weeks.
That's a great point, Chris, and they've really taken away the use of a middle linebacker. With all the perimeter throws they've had and the perimeter runs, it's just hard for Drake Thomas to make a play. And now on 4th down, I mean, gutsy call right here. I don't know if I agree with it, but they're going for it.
NC State brings pressure. Knocked away, incomplete. Pitts again.
And we just talked about Drake Thomas. If you feel like Drake Thomas hasn't made a play lately, he's about to make a play, and he was the one who put the pressure on Mackenzie Milton. And a really interesting play call. They decided to go for it, take their shot. NC State defense, they stood up tall, and they'll get the ball back when we come back. And Tony Gibson got a pressure in. He brought a double linebacker blitz, a little cross dog in the middle. First is Levi Jones, who penetrates and picks the offensive guard, and then you see Thomas loop around. Great job of getting the pressure, forcing the ball out. And again, I mean, interesting call. I don't really agree with it. Your defense is playing well. You're down by 7. That last drive started at your own 1-yard line. I mean, that's a perfect opportunity to flip the field position and give Devin Leary a long road to travel.
Person can't bring it in. Or Trent Penix, rather. He's had a great game, but he couldn't quite get that one because he knows, too, he had some room to run if he corralled that.
Yeah, he did. And things like that, you know, it's a run for 0 gain. It's an incomplete pass because of a drop. Those types of things, it just makes it hard to convert on 3rd down. Again, that's a 1st down play, but makes 2nd down more important, makes 3rd down even harder.
Leary to throw. Zips that one in, incomplete. Kalen DeLoach from his linebacker spot, drop back in coverage. So we've got a player for NC State just shaken up a bit. That looks like it's going to be
Timothy McKay.
Yeah, on the offensive line. We'll take a quick break. When we come back, it's 3rd down for NC State. Some of the great fountains here on campus in Tallahassee. Don't forget, immediately following our game, ACC Primetime presented by Geico. Clemson and Louisville on the ACC network and also on the ESPN app. We've still got 8 minutes and 3 seconds to go here. And a big 3rd down and 10 for NC State as McKay walked off under his own power. Leary to throw. Trying to get the screen going to Person. Avoids one tackler and he's got a blocker in front of him. Inside the 20, inside the 10, and he'll score!
Wow, what a play call. And the biggest play of the game for NC State. Tim Beck goes to a play we haven't seen all game, anticipating the pressure, got that running back screen out, And this is what you call a scan screen. The running back's fake scans for pressure, works his way across the formation, and while that's taking place, the offensive linemen get up on Callan DeLoach, who's covering person and person with the speed down the sideline, got some good blocks from his wide receivers, and man, what a play call and what execution, silencing this Florida State crowd.
Done with the PAT. And NC State now has that 14-point advantage once again. Person may only have 28 yards rushing on the day, but after this 43-yard touchdown, that's 50 receiving and a huge score.
Just a really, really good job. And you see Tim Beck congratulating Person. Dave Doran, tough to crack a smile out of Dave Doran. That last play did just that. Man. Great job. And now, on the sideline, Mike Norvell, he's got to get with his team, right? It's very easy to let the emotion just leave your body on that. However, this is still a two-score game. There's 8 minutes left in this football game. You have all the time in the world to continue executing offensively, move downfield, but scoring becomes a factor now.
Touchback, Jalen's down there on the sideline. Jalen?
Yeah, over here on this FSU sideline, and some guys had some heads down coming off to the side, and Fabian Lovett said, no, we still have 7 minutes left. That's a lot of time. Pick your heads up. He's touching guys and telling them to pick their heads up, so he's getting them together.
Yeah, Fabian Lovett, one of those transfers, came in from Mississippi State on that defensive line. He's trying to keep his team up. Almost 8 minutes left to play in this game, and plenty of time if this Florida State offense can get something going here on this drive.
What do you know? 3-by-1 formation.
Milton to his, tried to get it to his running back out of the backfield, but it was tipped. Tavin Van, who had a big sack moments ago, now with the tip pass, 2nd and 10.
Good job by Davin Van, the freshman. Last week he had 2 quarterback hits. Wasn't able to get the sack, but it's a good young player for this squad. Showing corner blitz at the bottom of your screen. Now he backs off.
The Pack bring just 3, but they get pressure on Milton. He escapes initially and then just tries to flip it to Corbin, incomplete. Pleading with the official about a late call, but he's not going to get it.
Good job right up the middle. Corey Durden, we've called his name a few times, and this is what NC State can do, right? They're rushing 3, and sometimes when you rush 3, it's harder to block because there's more open gaps that defensemen can loop into. Good job by Durden getting vertical.
He knows how to play on this field. Was a 2-year starter at Florida State before transferring to NC State. Now with some pressure from the Pack. And Milton incomplete. Wilson couldn't bring it in. 4th down and 10 and down 2 scores. Now
punt.
You haven't had much time run off the clock, but you're on your own 25, and there's really not much of a choice, I guess, here, because if you go for it on 4th and 10 and you don't make it here, game's over.
Punt. You should have punted last time. You didn't. Punt again. Punt.
Noles 2 for 15 on 3rd down today. This defense for NC State and Dave Doran, he's got to be happy about what he's seen today on the road in a game that's huge for them, setting up what could be a game for all the marbles in the Atlantic next week in Winston-Salem. Mastromano. Kick that's going to take a big Seminole bounce.
Wouldn't you like that in that last series?
Inside the 20. Once again, the field is flipped, but this Florida State defense now is going to have to make a big-time stand and get this football back to their offense because they trail by 14 to the Wolfpack. mentioned NC State at Wake Forest next Saturday. The Atlantic, or at least the lead in the Atlantic, at stake. Don't forget, Wake Forest lost earlier today in Chapel Hill, but that was a non-conference game. They just play that game against each other so they can keep that rivalry going. Good for them. Doesn't count against Wake Forest, so they're still unbeaten in league play. And NC State, of course, has that just one loss. Wake at Clemson. And then Pitt, who won today against Duke, taking on Virginia. They were idle this week. Those are the three big games that are really going to shape this conference, among others, as we head to the final couple of weeks of the season. Bam Knight, left side, flag down as NC State just wants to churn some clock, pick up a couple of first downs. Florida State does still have all 3 timeouts on the board.
Holding, offense, number 6. Penalty is after this to the goal line. First down.
And Mark, why does Florida State punt on that last possession, down 14 midway through the fourth quarter? Well, for a reason like this. Now it's first and long, and
correction, the penalties decline. Second down.
Or second down and 10. They'd rather have the down than the penalty yardage, but NC State's behind the chains, and they can get the ball back quickly if they can make a stop here.
Yeah, no, you're right. I'm sorry. I'm just thinking about why would you decline that penalty? Maybe you're thinking that time is more important than yardage, but you also have to stop them.
Right.
So
it would be about 8 yards because of the half the distance, or 7 yards, or about 8 yards.
But you're right. Now you create that long field for NC State to drive, and if they pick up a bunch of first downs, they could run the clock out. But
there's one right there.
Yeah, you give yourself a shot. And again, that's why you don't decline that penalty. You accept that penalty. There have been 2 calls by Mike Norvell that I just have not agreed with. You accept that penalty, you make it 1st and 17. Then if you pick up 7 yards, then it's 2nd and 10, rather than having it be 2nd and 10 already. Anyways, I don't really agree with that. But either way, the point is, Florida State's defense needs to stand up and get a stop soon, because you're right. They need 2 scores to tie this game back up.
Leary to throw. Has room to run, and does. He'll slide. And let's see where they mark him. Official on the far side marked him with plenty enough room for a first down, and they do. Clock running under 6 minutes.
Good job by the offensive line. We talked about that pass rush for Florida State. Good move by Jermaine Johnson on Iguanu, but he got some help on that inside by the guard, so gave a nice running lane for Devin Leary. And you pick up first downs. Every first down you pick up, you can run off about 2 minutes from the clock. Florida State with all 3 timeouts has to think about using them soon.
Bam just moving that pile for about 2.5. I'm a big proponent, by the way, of using your timeouts on defense, because you can control stopping the clock on offense. You can't on defense. I don't necessarily mean doing it now with 5 minutes, but at some point, if you can get a stop here for maybe no gain and you force a 3rd and long, maybe you think about using them, because this clock is going to continue to run, and you've got to score twice, and you haven't exactly been explosive on offense today.
You're right, and there's going to get to a certain point where you got to use them on this drive, because you're going to have to do an onside kick, recover it, and drive down and score another touchdown. You can't put the ball back in NC State's hands.
Beautiful play on the roll out, and just can't connect. Man, Dylan Parham had it in his hands. It was a little bit high, though. That would have been a tough catch, and Leary's probably kicking himself, because if he puts that right where it needs to be, he may still be running.
Yeah, that's right where it needs to be. That second replay, that's right where it needs to be. And I think the real issue, right, that's an easy completion play. You call that play because you know your guy's going to catch it and stay in bounds. Now with the drop, it stops the clock. And there's no reason for Florida State to have to take a timeout here. And it also puts a situation where NC State, do you run the clock out with a run or pass the ball?
They're passing it. Leary this time makes it work, and that's going to move the chains. Tootle. Man, they have gotten so many contributions from Tootle, Penix, Porter Rooks. C.J. Riley with the big touchdown catch in the first half.
And now you got to start using your timeouts. You're in the situation, you can't give them a first down here, because if they get a first down, now they're all of a sudden they're really close to field goal range.
NC State, by the way, on that play, going over 400 yards of total offense in the game, kind of quietly, you know?
Yeah, quietly. They got a lot of it in that first quarter. Third quarter was Florida State dominated. This fourth quarter has been a little bit more balanced. Good hit. And now take your timeout.
Person, or Bam Knight rather, met in the hole. DJ Lundy on the stop. And you're right. Florida State called their first timeout. They'll have 2 left, but at 3:46 and the ball now on their half of the field. They got to stop this clock, and they got to get that defense off the field if they want any hope, and they got to do it right now.
You saw Norvell walking behind Jamie Robinson. Frustration all over Robinson's face. And you saw Randy Shannon, senior D analyst, also talking to Jamie Robinson.
Hey, you want to make some college football playoff picks?
Yeah, might as well.
Let's throw those up there.
Look at that. So let's see, differences. Both of us have Georgia and Alabama at the top. You go Oregon, I got Ohio State. Ohio State won today. And then I got Cincinnati. If there's a time to have a group of 5, it's Cincinnati, and Cincinnati soon will not be in the group of 5. So, you know.
They won at Notre Dame. That's as impressive a win as you're going to see on this list. And Michigan State, by the way, not on either one of our lists because they lost today at Purdue, and you could see that coming a mile away.
Yep.
Just Purdue always gets somebody at home, and they got Michigan State today. Not totally out of it, because they've got Michigan State still has Ohio State left on the schedule, and Ohio State has Michigan State, Michigan, and whoever, if they win those 2 games, whoever represents the other division of the Big Ten, which probably Wisconsin, because Minnesota lost to Illinois earlier today. You gotta be kidding me. I like Ohio State behind Oregon simply because Oregon beat them at the shoe. And I just don't, at least at this point. Now, if Ohio State beats Michigan State, Michigan, and Wisconsin, then it's a different story. But at least to this point, that win, head-to-head, on Ohio State's home field is enough for me to put them just ahead of Ohio State.
Yeah, there's an explanation for everything right now, and that's what happens when you're making these predictions 5 weeks out, right? A lot can happen. A lot of football is left to be played, but you know, I think it's just real interesting. Anytime those first ranking comes out, there's always the analysis around it as to why.
And so much football has to be played. Jalen has hers. Let's put Jalen's up.
She's got Natty at 3.
Cincinnati at 3.
I'm just really high on Cincinnati, y'all. Like, I just think, like you said, if there's a time that a group of 5 gets in, it needs to be Cincinnati now.
It's
time. I'm really high on Cincinnati.
She was trying to sneak Mizzou in there earlier in the week, and then they went into Athens today, and I think they had an early lead in that game at Georgia, but that didn't last very long.
No. And how about Florida State? Florida State needed to make this stop to give themselves a chance.
And they did exactly what they had to do, so they've got a shot.
Yeah, they do. They held them outside of field goal range. NC State's going to be forced to punt this football.
They have 1 timeout on the board still.
Yep.
So they use their timeouts, or at least only 2 of their timeouts on defense, and they'll get the ball back. So that mission accomplished. Keir Thomas getting a well-deserved ring. They would have liked to have stopped him back on the NC State, or the Florida State, rather, side of the field there. But NC State, what they've got left, we talked about the huge game next week in Winston-Salem against Wake Forest. Then Syracuse, and then North Carolina. And Syracuse can run the football.
Yeah.
They're one of those teams, you know what they're going to do, Mark. You just have to stop them. And some teams can't stop them.
Yeah, they can't stop. And speaking of not being able to stop them, Florida State actually, they did use all 3 of their timeouts.
They did use that third one.
On that series. So now you get that little bug updated, and yeah, you're just gonna have to work the ball down the field, and you got to go towards the perimeter. There's just not enough time left to score 2 touchdowns, and so you got to drive the ball down fast. You got to go for the 4th down every single time. You got to go to the perimeter, and then you got to get an onside kick, and then do it all over again.
So here's Ontario Wilson to return this kick. You mentioned that Keyshawn Helton was a little bit banged up earlier in the day. So we'll check on number 6 for Florida State, but Ontario is going to return this punt. Any fair catches at his own 8. So Florida State has 92 yards to go to get the first of those 2 necessary scores in 3:26.
Yeah, and you see there, that's Adam Fuller, defensive coordinator. And Jamie Robinson, it's been fantastic for them. You saw he's been emotional the whole last series for Florida State, and I don't know if there wasn't really a glaring point where he made a mistake, or maybe he's just frustrated with something, but this is a Florida State team. They care a lot about what's going on. And Jamie Robinson, another one who transferred in from South Carolina along with Keir Thomas, getting a little talking to, just trying to get his head on right. You see Adam Fuller give an attaboy at the end of that.
Milton's got to take off. Slides after a gain of about 5. And I think NC State would be more than happy to see Mackenzie Milton run for 5 yards a clip at this point.
Yeah, for sure. And NC State's got to play cover 2 this whole time, force the check downs.
Milton's going to run again.
Yeah, just let that happen all day.
First down will temporarily stop the clock inside of 3 minutes.
And you see there's 3 linemen. There's only 3 defensemen within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage. Playing top down defensively, just rally down, don't get beat deep.
That's almost intercepted into a whole lot of traffic. A lot of white jerseys around that pass. Pierre Lewis was the one closest to it.
It's hard, all the throwing lanes are going to be occupied. NC State, when you have 8 guys in coverage just playing zone with their eyes on the quarterback, playing top down, it's just hard. It's hard to complete passes. Sometimes little screen passes to get blockers out in front are the best thing you can do.
Ward staying in the block initially. Now Milton finds a receiver at midfield. That's Jordan Young.
Wow.
That ball just dropped in between about 4 white jerseys.
Wow.
28 yards. Knowles looking to move quickly. Again, NC State brings 3, but they get to Milton.
Oh. All right, get up. Get back. Wide receivers, run back to the line of scrimmage. You know you're tired. You got to get back. There's no time to sub.
3rd sack of the day for NC State, Ibrahim Conte. Milton sidearms it and almost gets it to the receiver. He had Malik McLean out there.
Yeah, and an incompletion on that play is better than completing a short pass on 3rd and 16 because the clock stops. These guys can catch their breath. Ja'Kai Douglas now in the game towards the slot at the top. You can throw the ball, see if they do any trickeration with him.
Instead, Milton flushed. Has time to throw, just looking to find an open receiver, and does underneath. That's, again, Jordan Young, but it'll bring up 4th down and about 8 yards.
So we're within 2 minutes, so it went out of bounds, so that's going to stop the clock. Don't necessarily need to hurry as much.
Yeah, right. Getting the play right this time is more important than hurrying.
Yeah.
Because if you don't pick up this 4th down, game's over.
And on 4th and 8, now the 1st down becomes paramount. So look towards the bottom of the screen. This is where you can do that quick out route to Parchment. Looked like they brought another defender over there to take that away.
Mike Douglas in the backfield. He'll run a route. Milton being chased. Stays on his feet. Now it's a receiver who's going to have to do some work. That's Young. And you won't even get back to the line of scrimmage. Drake Thomas, this NC State defense, impressive. You know, you think about, Mark, the game we saw earlier today, Wake Forest and North Carolina in the 50s. Clemson's defense, you know, their offense has had issues this year, but the defense is still stout. But NC State's defense, I mean, I don't know if they take a backseat to anybody. Look what they did today. Florida State came in averaging over 200 yards rushing a game, and they held them to 38 yards on the ground. And really, Florida State had that brief moment in that third quarter where they had momentum and they were moving the football offensively, and maybe Dillingham made the right adjustments. But then I think Tony Gibson made some adjustments, and this defense came back to the fore.
Yep, you're right. And Gibson did make adjustments. He brought another player over to that single receiver side, took away that little out route by buzzing someone to the flat. And, you know, this is what NC State football is about right now. They are really good defensively, even though there were some big plays, right? It's 14 points. When in college football do you see someone scoring 14 points? You don't see that. And to average, like on the year, they give up 16 points a game. And that's going to drop now with this 14. It's fantastic defense. It's very well done, very well executed, and aided by really, really good play by Devin Leary in the passing game in the first half, and then they were able to establish the run game in the second half, and that screen pass to Ricky Person that he took down the sideline on 3rd and 10.
Yep.
That was the straw that broke the camel's back.
One more snap, and this one will go final in Doak Campbell. Florida State has Miami next week here in Tallahassee. They'll have to win out if they want to go bowling this year. And NC State, first place in the Atlantic, up for grabs next week in a huge showdown. That offense of Wake Forest versus this defense, that's going to be fun to watch in Winston-Salem next week. Two coaches, Norvell and Doran, meet at midfield. Coach Doran, again, continues to impress. Coach Shannon with an embrace for Coach Doran as well. And NC State will play for the Atlantic lead next week in Winston-Salem. Can't wait for that one. Don't forget, we've got Louisville and Clemson still to come tonight. Our primetime matchup presented by Geico here on the ACC Network. Devin Leary, 21 of 32, again, 314 yards. So you can't get the running game going all that well. Leary will give you a 300-yard game, no problem.
Yeah, you talk about sneaky yardage. I mean,
yeah,
it's
4
just
touchdowns.
Right, and when you're completing the ball the way he does, it seems like you're not getting that much yardage, but you are, and they did. And that guy right there, I mean, they tried to take him out of the game as much as they could, but Drake Thomas, talk about a heart and soul of a football team.
Right. On a football team without Peyton Wilson, without Isaiah Moore, two of the better linebackers in the country, injured, lost for the year. A lot on that man's shoulders right there, number 32. And he steps up.
And how about this? Think about this. You're going to have all 3 of those linebackers back next year for NC State.
That'll be one of the best, if not the best, linebacking core in the country. Believe it. Let's send it down to Jalen Johnson on the field.
Coach Doran, congratulations on the win. You guys talked to us this week about how you're flying under the radar, and your quarterback, Devin Leary, said that he likes that, and he's able to come out and perform the way he did tonight. What can you say about your quarterback?
Yeah, Devin's playing at a high level. We like having our back against the wall. Keep disrespecting us. Just keep doing it. Like that's good for our football team. These guys play hard. We got a lot of guys hurt, and we just keep finding different ways to win.
Your defense held them to 38 yards on the ground. What did you see from your defense tonight that you liked?
I can't hear you.
I said your defense held Florida State to 38 yards running on the ground. What did you see from your defense today?
They tackled well. You know, the guys fought at the line of scrimmage. Coach Gibson and his staff deserve a lot of credit for that game plan. We had 5 starters out on defense today, and that's a good rushing football team.
You guys are in the driver's seat of your own destiny. You have a big game that you have to play at Wake Forest next week. What's your game plan going into that one?
Game plan is to go in there and have fun with these guys. We'll worry about that when we get back.
All right, perfect.
All right, thanks. Go Pack.
All right, thank you, J.O. They're having fun, and winning's fun. You talked about putting a smile on Coach Doran's face. There'll be a smile on his face tonight as his team comes in here on the road in Doak Campbell and gets the win. Once again, our final score, NC State 28, Florida State 14. Clemson and Louisville coming up next.